So how are you? How are you doing? I hope you're doing well. Hope you're hanging in there. We're not freaking out, right? No one's freaking out. We don't freak out. But the times are getting crazier, that's for sure, and it's happening fast. Big show tonight. Lots of stuff to get into. Lot to show you. A lot of really crazy things too. And then there's going to be some C19 news in there as well. I've tried to avoid that talk for the last few weeks, and we did pretty good. There were a few stories here and there, but this week it was hard to avoid. There's some stuff I think is important to share concerning the virus, and then there's going to be a mixed bag, a potpourri of all kinds of fun. So hang in. Thank you so much for being here. This is KJ's What Happened, covering the last week, news bits I've picked up, things I like to share. Want to give a big shout out to Patreon, PayPal supporters out there. Thank you so much, guys. Also, big shout out to the moderators. Guys, I have to tend to business before we get started. Again, I got a big show for you tonight. We got a lot to get into. Every now and then I get a sponsorship. Tonight, my sponsor is a video game. It's a free video game called Raid. So I humbly ask you to be patient with me for just about a minute, and we'll play this ad, and we'll get right into it. People all around the world right now are finding themselves with a lot more time on their hands. Social distancing, self-quarantine. But what a perfect time to play some free games. Raid Shadow Legends is an online multiplayer game that is free to play. It's available on your phone and mobile devices. And now the highly anticipated Battle Pass is on. Season 1 is live, and you can win awesome rewards including free energy refills, gems, upgraded artifact sets, and new epic and legendary champions by fulfilling the daily and weekly challenges. So go to the video's description and click on the special link. If you're a new player, you will get 100,000 free silver tokens. And you'll get a free bonus champion, the Adjudicator. These rewards will only be available for the next 30 days, so check it out today. All right, guys, thank you so much. I like video games myself. I play video games. Do you guys play video games? Well, if you do, then check it out. All right, now I'm going to have to reshare the screen here real quick, so let me take care of this. Get that up. Do this. And now share the screen. And there we go. All right, now we're back in business. Okay, cool. Let me jump on over here and we're going to get started. As you can see, we're going to start off with the weirdness. This one is a really crazy story. Check this thing out. Faceless aliens spotted in crowd at Wimbledon. With the blankest of blank expressions on their faces, these mysterious figures have been popping up in the most unlikely of places. The faceless mutants have a penchant for A-list celebrity bashes and have been spotted at Elton John's white tie ball. Chubbs! Hey, I'm in the middle of a show here. I don't know if you guys could hear that or not. He's starting to act up. I didn't give him his kitty hemp tonight, so this might be a crazy night. We'll see. All right, let me continue. The faceless mutants have a penchant for A-list celebrity bashes and have been spotted at Elton John's white tie ball and Harrods Summer Cell, opened by Sex and the City star Kim Cattrall. With a membrane of skin stretched tightly over their eyes, noses, and mouths, the alien-like figures were most recently snapped watching a match perched on Murray Mount at Wimbledon. Can you see that? I'll try to open up some bigger pictures if they have any. There's some more you see here in the background. It's pretty creepy, huh? Close inspection of the pictures rules out an alien invasion. Small perforations around the eye areas of the masks allow the people beneath to see the world outside. But nobody knows who the faceless figures, who often appear as motionless couples, are, or why they're turning up at high-profile events. Theories include possibilities that they are Limelight Kitty. Sorry, you guys don't see this. He's literally ran right over my computer, right over my lap here. Theories include the possibilities that they are limelight-seeking pranksters, performance artists, or that they are at the center of a viral marketing campaign for an as-yet unknown product of forthcoming horror film. There's a couple more pictures. I wish they had some bigger pictures here. Usually they do. Speculation has even arisen that the masks hide a pair of well-known faces fed up with being harassed by the paparazzi. One blogger wrote on Mo magazine website, they probably aren't just random people off the street. If it ends up being a pair of celebrities who have had it with being photographed all the time and are staging a protest, I vow to support every project they appear on from now on, the person says. Whatever their purpose, I want to join them, and I have a new Halloween costume for this year. Yeah, that is creepy, though. The whole Faceless. Reminds me of a movie. What was the name of that movie? It wasn't it was the Twilight Zone movie. Did you ever see the Twilight Zone movie, the old school one? I think it was from the late 80s, maybe early 90s. I think it was late 80s. The Twilight Zone movie. They had one of the best in there, man. It was a great story. One of the best stories in there. It was about a little kid that had basically godlike powers and could do anything he wanted to do. And this just reminded me of, I guess he had a sister in that movie he didn't like. So he made her mouth disappear and stuck her in front of a TV watching cartoons all day long. You remember that? But that stuck out to me when I first saw that. And it also goes back to the recent Twilight Zone series that was produced by Jordan Peele. Right? Hey, Chubbs, you're really being mouthy. Come over here and say something by the mic so they can hear you. But they had a new Twilight Zone series that came out. I wasn't totally crazy about it, but there were some pretty cool stories. But in that, again, it was one of the best stories that I've seen in a long time. I just thought it was a great story. But it's about a little boy, probably like 10 years old, that becomes president of the United States. And it was fantastic. If you're looking for something interesting to watch for about an hour, go to that most recent Twilight Zone series. Look up that episode about the little boy that becomes president of the United States. It is terrifying. You could actually see it happen. It's crazy. Anyway, so moving on. The faceless people. Well, there we go. That's it. No pictures, no bigger pictures for me to show you. Sorry. But there you have it. Let's just jump somewhere here in the middle. That's way over on the end. Okay, here we go. All right. Here, check this out. Listen, most of you already know this. The news coming out about the virus, the news from all around the world, not just America, coming out about the virus is so conflicting. It's constantly conflicting. It's incredible when you look at it, and we're going to see a lot of examples tonight. I'm just going to show you some stories I found throughout the week, and make up your own mind, okay? Because there's a few narratives at play out there when it comes to the virus. I believe it's a real thing. That the C virus has been around for a long time, so I believe it's a real thing. And I was actually talking to a friend earlier today, and her brother is an RN out in Southern California, and he said he's told her that it's real, that people are dying from this. They're seeing it there. So, we get stories like that. And I mean, I don't doubt my friend or her brother. I believe them. Okay. I'm with that. But I already felt it was a real thing. But obviously, it's going to be used and has been already to some degree used as a control mechanism. And, we don't know if this is it. Like, are we never going back to normal from here? Is it always going to be this way? And if that's what it turns into, I mean, this is definitely, to me, it's obviously leading into a mark, right? The mark of the beast, if you will, because Bill Hicks, or not Bill Hicks, Bill Gates. Bill Hicks, was I thinking? Bill Hicks is great. But Bill Gates has his fingerprints all over this. About Event 201, and we know he talked about 33 million dying if this pandemic ever came out. I showed you guys all this stuff, but now he's working on the digital vaccine. I think there's some news on that tonight as well. So very well could be possible that this digital vaccine or whatever becomes mandatory for all of the world, right? And, if you don't take it, then you're the bad guy. And if it is some kind of a mark, or if it does turn out to be the so-called mark of the beast, I believe we'll know it when we see it. Okay. But if it's something like that, then most Christians aren't going to be taking it. So Christians will be the bad guy. And then we could actually see that scenario play out. It won't just be Christians not taking it, but predominantly, Christians. Anyway, I'm rambling again, and we just got started. So here's a story for you to consider. This is from YouTube channel. This is NYC, 309 subscribers. And I'll just let him explain. He's at a Brooklyn hospital. And and just hear what he says about all this. Sound good? You cool with that?
Oh, y'all, this is for real. This is for real. This is Brooklyn, y'all. Family, y'all take it serious. Y'all take this thing real serious, y'all. This is for real. This is for real, y'all. This is for real. This is real. This is right here in Brooklyn. This is right at Brooklyn Hospital. Y'all, this is for real. They put the bodies in 18-wheeler, y'all. Please stay inside. This is for real. This is no joke, y'all. This is for real. This is for real, y'all. This is for real. This is Brooklyn Hospital. Sorry for the camera shaking, but this is for real, y'all. This is for real. Please stay inside. Please pray for the people. Please pray for the people, y'all. This is for real. This is for real.
I think you get it. It's like a 5-minute long video, and I watched most of it. I'm pretty sure he says this is for real 712 times. At least it feels like it. Not to mock the guy. He's obviously not in a very good place right now. But again, an example. We don't know, okay, because I'm going to show you examples where hospitals where nothing's going on. I told you earlier, a lot of conflicting information on this. So anyway, there's that one. It's a short one I wanted to share with you. And yeah, here we go. Here's another one. Here's a guy, and I think he's out in New York City. Let me see. Okay, doesn't say, but he may see it here in the video. I'll just let him explain. Check this out. It's another one that's out there kind of doing some on the ground journalism, if you will, to see what's going on.
No one's here, man. It's fucking empty. Are these people in panic? Are these people who are just dealing with a surge of dying people? No. I mean, shit. Like, I was at the lake, and I was asking those people. One of the people I ran into was this old black lady, and she said, I asked her if she'd be willing to ask some questions about her experiences with the coronavirus, and she declined to do it on camera, saying that I wouldn't like what she had to say about it. And I said, okay, I put the camera away. I said, okay. What is, I'm going to tell you up front what I think. I think that is some New World Order plan in order to get people used to accepting shit like this. And she told me she's a nurse at a VA hospital. She ain't seen one case of coronavirus.
We don't do testing for it. We can have the provider check you out.
Got it.
But
I have a lot of people come in here like severely sick with corona. What could possibly look like corona?
To be completely honest with you, I don't know. Just a bunch of patients being sick. That's all I can say.
Where do you send them?
Either you can, if you want to get tested, on our help, urgent care is doing.
And let me see. I don't want to play too much of this guy's video, but that kind of gives you a bit of an idea there. All right. So again, just two conflicting stories right there, different hospitals as well. But we'll continue. You'll see what I mean. This will start coming into a bigger picture as we move on. Okay, here's one. It's Billy Gates talking about that digital vaccine coming. Digital vaccine sounds like a mark to me, right? We'll see.
Down to an absolute level. There are some good things happening. The work on a vaccine, although that probably will take 18 months, that's going full speed ahead. Our foundation is funding that. We're looking at getting vaccines to everyone in the world.
Yay, vaccines for everyone in the world. And he said 18 months. They just pushed the date back to the 30th, I believe. I think that's in here tonight too. But how far do you think this is going to go? And how far can it go until everything really breaks? And of course, a lot of us would say, well, it's all a part of the plan anyway, isn't it? It really is. So Here's one. This is I've talked about this last week quite a bit, and I think the week before, that there was this conspiracy theory running around about Tom Hanks and his wife Rita Wilson. They claim to have the C virus down in Australia, and the world found out about this through their son Chet Hanks. And this kid goes on camera without a shirt on. It's got a huge Illuminati pyramid on his chest, and I think I've got his another video of him tonight, actually. But that all came out, and then a lot of theories started up. You may have seen this if you weren't here. I've talked about this, but there's a lot of celebrities connected, and there's a lot of theories coming out of what they call the Q movement, if you've heard of that. And they believe that a lot of these Hollywood types are, they're pedos, of course. A lot of them believe, and of course, a lot of them are, I believe, too. But they're saying all these people are pedos, and they're being arrested, and under the guise of what's happening right now, the lockdown, that all these big moves are being made, and a lot of celebrities are going down, and pedos and all this other stuff, right? This whole operation taking place. But here's the thing. So Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson returned to the U.S. after the diagnosis. I'll just play a little bit of this. So they're back. And I don't know if that destroys that idea, that these Q people are saying. I'm sure they may have an answer for this. I don't know, but I just wanted to show you this.
With some great news about Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson. More than 2 weeks after they were both diagnosed with coronavirus in Australia, the couple is not only feeling better, but they have returned home to Los Angeles.
Even that picture right there that they have up, let me go back a click. With the door behind them, the top of the door, the corner, there's a barcode there. So there were people saying that this is a prison, maybe they're in a Guantanamo or Gitmo or whatever. Again, guys, this, I was never into the Q thing, still don't trust it, but I trust good information. And every now and then something solid's come out of that stuff I've found, but it's not this. I just have a hard time believing that's the operation that's taking place right now. Now, I could be wrong. I don't know everything, but there's a lot of holes in it if you start looking into it. But again, don't get me wrong. I would love to see that kind of justice. I would love to see a lot of these people go down. Anyway, here's some footage.
The two were photographed driving with Hanks
photograph.
behind the wheel, and look, they're both grinning from ear to...
Look, they were photographed grinning from ear to ear. So again, maybe the people who believe in that narrative, may have an answer for this. Or there was a picture from 2007, or who knows. But anyway, just want to share a little bit of that. Oh boy, this one, now we're going to go a little deep for a little bit here. This is from a channel called Kitten, Kinninigan 2.0. He's one of the guys that lost his channel in one of these purges they had over the last few years. He's one of the truth type channels that got taken out, but he built back pretty quick, so that's good. But Kitten, I've followed his channel for a long time. I, not to knock him, I'm not into a lot of the things he talks about, but some of the things he talks about, I'm really into. That's why I've stuck with him for so long. Anyway, this is a good explanation, or a good example of the liquid crystal polarization. I showed examples of this in my movie, The Scariest Movie Ever Made, 2020, near the very end of the movie. And this is what some of us believe is the covering of the tares, the other race amongst us. Some people call them reptilians or lizard people and all this other stuff, but the Bible talks about another race, amongst us that is raised with us. Wheat and tares, they look like us, but they're hollow on the inside. They don't have the Spirit of God with them, right? So that's some of the weird stuff, but there's a lot of weird stuff in the Bible. There's even a talking donkey. If you've heard about that, you should look that one up. But let's go ahead and check some of this out. The liquid polarization. Again, this might be new to you, okay, but check this out. He's got some really solid points. I showed you guys examples of this in the past in other videos as well, and all the examples I showed you were from the last 10 years. This one's from a lot longer ago, so here, I'm talking too much.
This first one I want to show you here, this is the Bob Marley one I just did. Now, what's really interesting about this one is that this was taped in 1976. Now, when I first started seeing these, I thought maybe they could have been attributed to some type of digital camera malfunction or something like that. But in 1976, that would have not been the issue. And as you see, I'm going to do the video here to try to get better examples. Okay, here we go right there. Now, what I want to explain is in a lot of these videos, we see the clothes shifting, the face, but really nothing else around them. And people are asking me, well, how can this happen? I mean, is his hat reptilian? Or, well, at the end of the day, I'm actually starting to believe that this may not specifically be a reptilian thing. I'm going to explain what this is. This is tied in with archon possession and the occult.
So I don't agree with that. Like I said, not everything with Kitten I'm with, and I believe he's Gnostic anyway. I could be wrong, but I think he's Gnostic. And the archons, you can read about that. That's connected with Gnosticism and all that as well. It's all very interesting. I'm not sure, but I think the archons are in the Book of Enoch too. I might be wrong. You guys could correct me, but look up Archon if you've never heard the theory of the archons. But anyway, hey, again, I could be wrong, but this is Kennedigan's theory. Check it out.
In which I'm going to go over at the end of the video after, I show you these examples. I also have an experiment that I'm going to show you that I can show you basically how this anomaly works too. Now, this is the Bob Marley one done in 1976. This one is really interesting. The other one we're going to look at here, this is Nigel Cole. And this was actually taped in Philadelphia, my hometown where I live. This one is interesting because he's outdoors and nothing else around him. Now, I was asked about this right here, about the roof. And what it is, if you really look at it, it's like it's moving with them, and there's just a lag in the actual anomaly. But no, the roof isn't really shifting.
So there's just a little bit of that I wanted to share with you. And I think that stuff's absolutely fascinating. I don't like the implication that Bob Marley may have been something like this, or maybe he had an entity attached to him, I don't know. I don't know a lot about Bob Marley. What I know, I always thought he was a pretty good guy, but then again, I don't know. I'm just showing you these anomalies, and they don't show up on everybody. It's not all the time. They showed up on Bush's daughter, Jenna Bush, on television show. There's a whole sequence where it played out on, I think it was KTLA. It's a Los Angeles news channel. And I lived out there for many years. I used to watch that channel all the time. And it takes place between three of the personalities on screen. And then one of the ladies, as she's talking about Michael Jackson, this is from years ago, talking about Michael Jackson, about something about Michael Jackson, her face started doing this. And it got thick, it got black and white and heavy designs. And then all of a sudden they switched to the guy, and then they switched back to her. She's pointing at her forehead, looking at the camera with kind of a dazed look okay, yeah, and kind of plays it off. And it really seems like they were yelling at her from the control booth, maybe say, hey, you're shifting. I mean, I don't know. It's the way it looks. And so that was one of the better ones I've seen. There's also one, you guys might remember this one. Try to look it up. I can't remember the guy's name. It was a couple people on an MSNBC show, and it had to do with money and investments. It was one of those shows on MSNBC. The main host of this show had a guest, and the gentleman was talking, and he was disagreeing with the main host on something. The main host got so angry, he turns to him at one point. You can tell he's kind of losing it, and he does that thing snakes do, where he goes, or they stick their tongue out real quick, like that. It's weird. And he just does that. So even that one always stood out to me, and it makes me wonder. Some people believe it's reptilians, and people have their ideas. Is it a form of demonic possession? I wonder if it is a tear, these tears, empty beings amongst us filled with something that's not good. These are things I think about. This is what I wonder. Here we go. C virus in New York. Video shows disturbing crowded hospital in ER. Crowded hospital ER. Let's see if we can't make that big.
Who's the sickest patient you to know?
I didn't want to play the music just for copyright, just in case. Just kind of read along here. And I mean, I don't know. It looks like a hospital, busy hospital to me. I don't know. And of course, there's the argument can be made that was all set up too, right? Oh boy. Looks like I need to unblock this channel. Let's see what we got here. Here we go. A Christian pastor who thought C-19 was mass hysteria is among the first from Virginia to die from the virus. One of the first deaths of a Virginian from C virus was a 66-year-old Christian musical evangelist who fell ill while on a trip to New Orleans with his wife. As the friendly atheist's Bo Gardner points out, Landon Spradlin had previously shared opinions that the pandemic was a result of mass hysteria from the media. On March 13th, Spradlin shared a misleading meme that compared the C virus deaths to swine flu deaths and suggested the media is using the pandemic to hurt Trump. In the comments, Spradlin acknowledged that the outbreak is a real issue, but added that he believes the media is pumping out fear and doing more harm than good. It will come and it will go, he wrote. That same day, he shared a post from another pastor that told the story of a missionary in South Africa who protected himself from the bubonic plague with the Spirit of God. As long as I walk in the light of that law of the Spirit of life, no germ will attach itself to me, read a quote from the post. On March 17th, Gene and Landon Spradlin were returning home from a traveling ministry in New Orleans because he hadn't been feeling well. Landon Spradlin had both bronchitis and a small case of pneumonia and had already tested negative for the C virus while in New Orleans. The pneumonia, however, got worse. He wasn't breathing right when Gene Spradlin tried to pull her husband out of the car during a stop in Concord, North Carolina. When I got his feet on the ground, they crumpled, she said. Bystanders at a convenience store called 911, and he was transported to Atrium Health Cabarrus Hospital in Concord. Doctors placed him on a ventilator and diagnosed him with the double pneumonia, meaning both lungs were infected. Spradlin tested positive for C-19 in the hospital and died on Wednesday. There you go. There you have it. There he is. New York Times blames evangelical Christians for the C virus. Okay. As I said earlier, guys, and we can see it, you can clearly see that the setup we have right now in this world can clearly be used to bring in that mark of the beast. We can see that, right? Especially if they want to start putting something on everybody globally. Maybe it starts with a vaccine. Maybe it's just a shot. And I don't think that's the mark of the beast, right? It's going to be something that they're not going to trick you. This is something where you lose everything with the Lord. You lose your place. So it's not going to be something like that where you're going to get tricked into it. You'll understand what it is and you'll understand the choice you have to make. I believe that. But maybe it starts with the shot or a pill. And then where do we go from there? To me, it's the obvious trajectory, especially looking at all the things we've looked at for the last, for me, 14 years. Some of you less, some of you longer. But we know what season it is. So we can see them easily. Well, we made all the cattle do this all over the world, so now the cattle need to do this, The New York Times published an op-ed Friday that blamed evangelical Christians for the C virus pandemic. The argument by journalist and author Catherine Stewart is that because religious voters supported Trump, that means he governs without regard for science. Stewart also claims that Republicans more than Democrats are likely to deny science. And her op-ed titled "The Road to Coronavirus Hell was paved by evangelicals." Oof, really? She writes, Donald Trump rose to power with the determined assistance of a movement that denies science, bashes government, and prioritized loyalty over professional expertise. In the current crisis, we are all reaping what the movement has sown, at least since the 19th century, when the pro-slavery theologian Robert Louis Dabney attacked the physical sciences as theories of unbelief. Hostility to science has characterized the more extreme forms of religious nationalism in the United States. I don't like this lady. She then goes on to provide several quotes from pastors who pushed back against the idea of closing their churches. Stewart admits, by all accounts, President Trump's tendency to trust his gut over the experts on issues like vaccines and climate change does not come from any deep-seated religious conviction. But she adds, but he is perfectly in tune with the religious nationalists who form the core of his base. Since the start of the virus, crisis, Trump has repeatedly deferred to scientists, doctors, and experts in the administration. Notably, scientists have confirmed that President Trump's travel bans on... Okay, the rest of this is just... We get it. The rest of this is Orange Man not bad news. Orange Man not bad. Because there's a lot of Orange Man bad news. They counterbalance it, I guess. Ghost Town, New York City. Here we go. Let me find out what channel this is so I give you some credit there, sir. From Jason Goodman, 97.6 subscribers. I jumped in there too, Jason. And he's just walking around New York City, it seems, and doing some filming. This is an hour-long video, so I'm just going to play a little bit, okay? I'm just going to jump around some. And just a new perspective, right? Another perspective on what's happening in New York City with the morgues and the police and the C virus.
Well, I hope we're live. It'll probably pop up in there in a second. Jimmy Vinyl, people who have been watching for a long time, fist bump me. They're going to remember our previous segment, On the Record with James. You've told us your story in the past, but we've got a lot of new viewers. Why don't you tell us about how you became homeless after 9/11 and all of that, and then we'll take a walk over this way. We're going to investigate this story that the Post has put out, alleging that there is
the mechanisms in place are just going to, continue the onslaught.
Do you feel at risk of getting sick from coronavirus?
I don't even think about it. To be honest with you, I've spent, over 12 years practically, on the line, practically dead. So my feeling is nothing can hurt me at this point. If it's my time, it's my time. But I've had such struggles, and within the struggles, we find more about ourselves, and we if we accept these things in certain ways and deal with them, we can, turn it around, So look, there are people just freaking out, wigging out. They should respect the fact that maybe the virus, that the virus exists and maybe they may come in contact with it, but we need to take care of ourselves, keep the immune system strong, eat well, have love in your life,
right?
Stay in a positive zone.
Right. Stress really hurts people's immune systems,
absolutely.
Right? And all the processed foods that most people eat.
A lot of the synthetics are, kind of corrupting, the fundamental operational value of a human being, So, again, I'm not a Western practitioner, and I'm not pontificating from that point. I'm talking about, the continuum of human life from the beginning of time and the traditions that have existed earlier, and how, we as,
So this is the Baruch Student Healthcare Center. Do you find it strange that there are no students lined up here trying to get tests or see a nurse or a doctor from the university or anything like that?
If they're closed because they're quarantining, it's, again, that's the issue.
I'll stop there. I think I may have clicked on this guy's got a few videos, but the last one I saw of him, it was just him by himself. I still like this because this guy is interesting here. But just want to show you another example of some people who live in New York City who are citizen journalists, who are the best journalists, right? The best journalists we've got are the people. It really is. Even you guys, like my audience, I've learned so much from you guys throughout the years. And this has been great. It really is. Knowledge is key, especially now, isn't it? And being able to decipher the truth through all this deception, all this craziness. We'll continue. Oh, here we go. Department of Homeland Security warns New York City morgues near capacity as local hospitals construct makeshift facilities. See, so now I get this story. I watched a couple of this last guy's videos, and it's basically a ghost town in New York. It's crazy. I lived out in New York City for about a year, but it's an enormous place. So there, of course, there's different hospitals, right? There's boroughs. It's like little towns. It's huge. It's a huge place. and it's very compact, and there are a lot of people there. So, of course, that's going to be another reason why we see such a crazy outbreak, or so they say, right, in New York City. New York City morgues are nearing capacity and will be full as soon as next week, according to, hey, we can all trust the Department of Homeland Security. Right, guys, calm down. They're going to, but according to a Department of Homeland Security official, which was corroborated by a Politico source. Another person familiar with the situation said that the city's hospital morgues hit capacity sometime over the past week. That said, if New York City runs out of morgue space as the number of C-19 deaths increase, the Trump administration will step in and assist, according to a former senior admin official who noted that the George W. Bush administration sent mortuary assistance after Katrina and the September 11th attacks, September 11th ritual. Meanwhile, the Daily Mail reports that one Manhattan hospital has set up a makeshift morgue in preparation for the surge in C virus victims as the city's death toll approaches 200. That said, not everyone is concerned. For now, city officials do not seem especially alarmed. Asia Worthy Davis, a spokesperson for the New York City office of the chief medical examiner, said concerns about morgue capacity may be unfounded. In Manhattan alone, she said, OCME's morgue can store up to 900 bodies. The city has a morgue for each of the 5 boroughs, she said. We have the ability to expand pretty dramatically. If you look back at what we did during 911, we have the ability to create mobile stations that allow us to house bodies if we run out of space. That said, New York has never dealt with mass casualties at the same rate in recent history. In Italy's Lombardy region, deaths are topping 500 per day. See, that's just hard to fathom. We need videos out of Italy. I'd like to see, hopefully people are out there filming. I haven't seen anything. There might be a couple small bits here and there, but I haven't seen anything massive, like long videos from Italy showing us what's going on. If anybody's out there, if anyone's listening from Italy, please film. That said, New York City has never dealt with mass casualties. Okay, we got that. All hospitals within the city tend to have small morgue spaces. So it's possible that with the capacity of the hospitals in New York City, there may be an expectation that they'll run out of morgue space. All right, that's the story. There's the pictures. As bodies pile up, states ask emergency FEMA help to handle the dead. The expected Italy levels of strain and collapse to the system has now begun in the United States, it appears, as on Wednesday, New York, Hawaii, and North Carolina have issued an urgent request to FEMA for emergency mortuary assistance as deaths mount across the states. CNBC reports a spokesperson for the FEMA confirmed the request in a statement on Wednesday, and it's now said to be under review but not yet approved. The U.S. on Wednesday reached above 60,000 confirmed cases and is on track to overtake Italy and possibly China in terms of, and we already did. This is from earlier in the week. So yeah, America is number one in America. America is number one in C virus cases now, if you didn't know that. New York, New Jersey, and California have the highest concentration of cases with 17,856 C-19 confirmations in New York City alone. New York is also has 285 deaths from the disease as well. Hawaii currently has 91 confirmed cases and 1 death, according to Johns Hopkins University figures. North Carolina has 529 cases and 2 deaths, with almost 200 of New York's deaths concentrated in New York City and morgues feeling the strain. Governor Cuomo issued an appeal for more ventilators and hospital beds as well. Politico reported Wednesday that the city's morgues were already at or at least very near capacity. I saw something really weird about Andrew Cuomo. I'm not sure if I added it in tonight. I'm not sure if it's in there or not, but I probably didn't. It was just a really short, weird little thing I saw, but somebody posted a picture of him. This is Governor Cuomo, Andrew Cuomo, during one of these. He's been doing a lot of public speaking, of course, doing a lot of broadcasts about the C virus and all this. Is during one of those recently over the last few days, and he's wearing a white shirt that is pretty kind of a thin material, and it clearly looks like the dude's got his nipples pierced, both of them. Again, right? This isn't earth-shattering news, okay? But that's just weird to me. I mean, that's weird. I mean, I'm just not into piercings anyway. That's not really the weird, but I don't care what people do, But But then when it's the governor, it's just kind of weird. And he's on camera talking to all these reporters, and it's clear that looks like two things are clamped into his nipples. You can see it right through his shirt. All right, as you can see, this isn't something super important for you to know. This isn't going to help you on your walk with the Lord. It's not going to, but it's just, this is how my mind operates. I see these weird little things and these strange little bits, and then unfortunately I can't get them out of my head. Now every time I see this guy on TV, I'm going to picture him with his freaking nipples pierced. I didn't ask for this. Nobody wants that. A new beat for police across the U.S. enforcing social distance. Are these the seeds of what's to come, right? Because we don't want that. We don't want to see the people having to fight the police. It's not going to be good because they're not going to deal with it for long. And then that's when your reserve units come in. And then how long is that going to last? Is it military after that? Or ultimately, will it be the blue helmets? A lot of people believe it could eventually be the United Nations military here in America operating and helping out. And that's not a crazy far-flung idea, guys. Look into this. Look up how often the United Nations military people have trained here in America with our military and even with our police. I swear now, I look it up if you want, guys. I don't want to say I swear to this, but I'm almost positive I saw a story just about 2-3 years ago about, it was founded by the United Nations. They brought this together, but it was blue helmets, or like soldiers from the UN working with police in America and doing like door-to-door things and neighborhood type activity. Could be wrong, guys. I filter a lot of information throughout the years, but if you want to look that up, maybe look at UN police working together in America or something like that. I'm pretty sure there was something on that. In New York City, they've started dismantling basketball hoops to prevent people from gathering in parks and playing. Woof, it's rough. In Lakewood, New Jersey, police broke up a wedding being held in violation of a ban on large gatherings. And in Austin, Texas, officers are encouraging people to call a hotline to snitch on violators of the city's orders for people to stay home. Tattletales. If you see something, say something, right? Police departments are taking a lead role in enforcing social distancing guidelines that health officials say are critical to containing C-19. Along with park rangers, fire inspectors, and other public servants, officers more accustomed to chasing suspects and solving crimes are spending these troubled days cajoling people to stay at least 6 feet apart. We're used to crowds, we're used to lines, we're used to being close together, New York City mayor said. No more. The no more mandate has forced the New York Police Department, a squad that normally prides itself in protecting packed crowds like the ones at Times Square New Year's Eve celebration, into service dispersing small groups of people on city streets and public spaces. Instead of the threat of terrorism, they're trying to stop the spread of a silent killer that, as of Thursday, had left more than 1,000 people dead in the U.S., at least 280 of them in New York City, all while trying to avoid using a heavy hand. This is avoiding using a heavy hand? For starters, the nation's largest police department made thousands of visits to bars and restaurants to make sure they were observing a shutdown of dine-in services imposed this month, resulting in warnings but only a handful of citations. Now comes an effort to impose restrictions in parks, playgrounds, housing project courtyards, and sidewalks. You're all going to jail, every one of you. It's what it is, man. This is jail time. Now comes an effort to impose restrictions in parks, playgrounds, housing project courtyards, and sidewalks, where some people to congregate out of habit of indifference as temperatures rise. On Wednesday, de Blasio said the city was removing basketball hoops at 80 of its 1,700 public courts, places where he said people were ignoring instructions not to shoot around with anyone outside their household. Enforcement also will include marked patrol cars driving through Brooklyn's Prospect Park and other popular outdoor escapes around the city, broadcasting recorded reminders about the importance of social distance. That's what they did in China. Did you hear that? Broadcasting. Here we go. They were doing this in China. We know China that's the testing ground, right? And now we get to see it imposed on us. It started with the social credit score, right? And hey, suddenly they're doing it in America. Google was working with them. Okay, so Goodness gracious. This happened in China. Listen, enforcement also will include marked patrol cars driving through Brooklyn's Prospect Park and other popular outdoor escapes around the city. Here's the important part: broadcasting recorded reminders about the importance of social distancing. I mean, wow, man. Wow. It's a big deal. This is all the programming we've had for so many years of these dystopian future societies. You know, it's happening. Like, we're seeing it. Bits and pieces every day. Like, the blocks are falling into place, it seems. NYPD videos shot in Manhattan's Lower East Side and posted on Twitter showed a squad car slowly rolling down a nearly empty street, occupied by just two people running on opposite sides of the street and playing a message that implores, "Please help us keep you safe." In addition, the city is mobilizing departments to form roving enforcement teams for the effort, including members of the Fire and Parks Department and the Mayor's Community Affairs Unit. People are not being discouraged from getting out for a breath of fresh air solo, as couples or as families, but other activities like team sports or gatherings like outdoor family barbecues are going to be shut down. If we see people in groups, we're going to break them up, he said, de Blasio. If we see a place that's too crowded, we're going to get people to disperse. De Blasio said he would even consider closing playgrounds as soon as Saturday if families don't follow new rules to not overcrowd them or allowing kids playing with kids outside their own family. In New Jersey, police charged 3 people in recent days for holding large gatherings in defiance of a state ban. In San Jose, California, officers have checked 369 businesses for compliance and issued their first citation on Wednesday. If the city's parks and trails continue to be crowded with residents, authorities could be forced to step up their enforcement, which Chief Eddie Garcia said could be difficult to determine. They can't play red light, green light, and say everybody freeze. Let's get a tape measure out, he said. Good point. In New York City, officers patrolling recreation areas and enforcing social distancing this week were seeing a lot of empty soccer fields and a lot of empty basketball courts, which is good. For now, the department is trying to avoid a more lax approach used in Italy that is believed to have only fueled infection rates, while avoiding any semblance of the Big Brother type crackdown in China. And you gotta give them credit for that. We want that. I like seeing that. And we know that some of these people, not everybody is evil, and not everyone's bad in the government. They're not all evil. There's some good people out there. But, you know, it's good that they at least put that in this article as well. It's important. They were trying to avoid any semblance of the Big Brother type crackdown in China, right? We hope. So there you go. There you go, coppers. You got a new job to do. This one's a really good one. 12 experts questioning the coronavirus panic. This is from offguardian.org. It's off-guardian.org. Look up 12 experts questioning the coronavirus panic if you're interested. I'll read a little bit here. Below is our list of 12 medical experts whose opinions on the C virus outbreak contradict the official narratives of the mainstream media. Dr. Sucharit Bhakdi. He says, we are afraid that 1 million infections with the new virus will lead to 30 deaths per day over the next 100 days, but we do not realize that 20, 30, 40, or 100 patients positive for normal C viruses are already dying every day. The government's anti-CVID measures are grotesque, absurd, and very dangerous. The life expectancy of millions is being shortened. The horrifying impact on the world economy threatens the existence of countless people. The consequences on medical care are profound. Already, services to patients in need are reduced, operations canceled, practices empty, hospital personnel dwindling. All this will impact profoundly on our whole society. All these measures are leading to self-destruction and collective suicide based on nothing but a spook. And that's from Dr. Sucharit Bhakdi. Read some more of these. Dr. Wolfgang Wodarg. Cool name. Wolfgang Wodarg. Politicians are being courted by scientists who want to be important to get money for their institutions, scientists who just swim along with the mainstream and want their part of it. And what is missing right now is a rational way of looking at things. We should be asking questions like, how do you find out this virus was dangerous? How was it before? Didn't we have the same thing last year? Is it even something new? That's missing. Dr. Joel Kettner. I have never seen anything like this, anything anywhere near like this. I'm not talking about the pandemic because I've seen 30 of them, one every year. It's called influenza. and other respiratory illness viruses. We don't always know what they are, but I've never seen this reaction, and I'm trying to understand why. It's the New World Order, Doc. They're about to crown the Antichrist. I know, I'm just a kook. I worry about the message to the public about the fear of coming into contact with people, being in the same space as people, shaking their hands, having meetings with people. I worry about many, many consequences related to that. In Hubei, in the province of Hubei, where there has been the most cases and deaths by far, the actual number of cases reported is one per 1,000 people, and the actual rate of deaths reported is 1 per 20,000. So maybe that would help to put things into perspective. Dr. John Ioannidis, I can't say that. That's why I want you guys to find, this is really a really good article. Again, it's on offguardian.org, and I'll go to the top, and I'm going to come down and read some more of these. And it's 12 experts questioning the coronavirus panic. Highly recommend y'all look this up for yourself, okay? I'll read some more here. Patients who have been tested for SARS-CoV-2 are disproportionately those with severe symptoms and bad outcomes. As most health systems have limited testing capacity, selection bias may even worsen in the near future. The one situation where an entire closed population was tested was the Diamond Princess cruise ship and its quarantine passengers. The case fatality rate there was 1.0%, but this was a largely elderly population in which the death rate from C-19 is much higher. Could the C-19 case fatality rate be that low? No, some say, pointing to the high rate in elderly people. However, even some so-called mild or common cold type coronaviruses that have been known for decades can have case fatality rates as high as 8% when they infect elderly people in nursing homes. If we had not known about a new virus out there and had not checked individuals with PCR tests, the number of total deaths due to influenza-like illness would not seem unusual this year. At most, we might have casually noted that the flu this season seems a bit worse than average. You guys beginning to get the picture here? It's interesting, huh? Dr. Yoram Less. Italy is known for its enormous morbidity in respiratory problems, more than 3 times any other European country. In the US, about 40,000 people die in a regular flu season, and so 40 to 50 people have died of the coronavirus, most of them in a nursing home in Kirkland, Washington. In every country, more people die from regular flu compared with those who die from the coronavirus. There's a very good example that we all forget. The swine flu in 2009. That was a virus that reached the world from Mexico, and until today, there is no vaccine against it. But what? At that time, there was no Facebook, or there may be there, but it was still in its infancy. The coronavirus, in contrast, is a virus with public relations. Whoever thinks the government's in viruses is wrong. Dr. Pietro Vernazza. We have reliable figures from Italy in a work by epidemiologists, which has been published in the renowned science journal Science, which examined the spread in China. This makes it clear that around 85% of all infections have occurred without anyone noticing the infection. 90% of the deceased patients are verifiably over 70 years old, 50% over 80. In Italy, 1 in 10 people diagnosed die, according to the findings of the Science publication. That is statistically 1 of every 1,000 people infected. Each individual case is tragic, but often similar to the flu season. It affects people who are at the end of their lives. If we close the schools, we'll prevent the children from quickly becoming immune. We should better integrate the scientific facts into the political decisions. Frank Ulrich Montgomery. I'm not a fan of lockdown. Anyone who imposes something like this must also say when and how to pick it up again. Since we have to assume that the virus will be with us for a long time, I wonder when will we return to normal? Yeah, we're all wondering that, huh? You can't keep schools and daycare centers closed until the end of the year because it'll take at least that long until we have a vaccine. Italy has imposed a lockdown and has the opposite effect. They quickly reached their capacity limits but did not slow down the virus spread within the lockdown. I'll read another. It's from a German scientist, Professor Hendrik Streeck. The new pathogen is not that dangerous. It's even less dangerous than SARS. The special thing is that SARS-CoV-2 replicates in the upper throat area and is therefore much more infectious because the virus jumps from throat to throat, so to speak. But that it's also an advantage because SARS-1 replicates in the deep lungs. It's not so infectious, but it definitely gets on the lungs, which makes it more dangerous. You also have to take into account that SARS-CoV-2 deaths in Germany were exclusively old people. In Heinsberg, for example, a 78-year-old man with previous illnesses died of heart failure, and that without SARS-2 lung involvement, since he was infected, he naturally appears in the COVID-19 statistics, but the question is whether he would not have died anyway, even without SARS-2. I think there's a whole bunch of these. Oh, no, there's not. I'm almost done. There's only a couple more. Let's finish them off. Here we go. The problem of SARS-CoV-2 is probably overestimated, as 2.6 million people die of respiratory infections each year, compared with less than 4,000 deaths for SARS. This study compared the mortality rates of SARS-CoV-2, and I don't care about all that. I don't care about SARS. Let's hear some more here. This is from Dr. David Katz. I am deeply concerned that the social, economic, and public health consequences of this near total meltdown of normal life, schools and businesses closed, gatherings banned, will be long-lasting and calamitous, possibly graver than the direct toll of the virus itself. The stock market will bounce back in time, but many businesses never will. The unemployment, impoverishment, and despair likely to result will be public health scourges of the first order. Michael Osterholm, this is the last one, I believe. Consider the effect of shutting down offices, schools, transportation systems, restaurants, hotels, stores, theaters, concert halls, sporting events, and other venues indefinitely, and leaving all of their workers unemployed and on the public dole. Yeah, really, consider that. That's a very powerful statement right there in and of itself, isn't it? The likely result would be not just a depression, but a complete economic breakdown, with countless permanently lost jobs long before a vaccine is ready or natural immunity takes hold. The best alternative will probably entail letting those at low risk for serious disease continue to work, keep business and manufacturing operating, and run society, while at the same time advising higher risk individuals to protect themselves through physical distancing and ramping up our healthcare capacity as aggressively as possible. With this battle plan, we could gradually build up immunity without destroying the financial structure on which our lives are based. Well, we went through those, and I think you can see some pretty common themes and common threads from these scientists or experts, 12 experts questioning the coronavirus panic. They're all concerned about some of the same things, primarily shutting down the world over this virus that, as many of these people say, it's really not like that big of a deal necessarily. Here's something I was going to share with you guys, because the last few weeks I told y'all, again, I'm not into the Q stuff, but I go through all the rabbit holes. I'm still trying to learn new stuff all the time. Of course, it's what I do. And the last few weeks I was having fun going into the Q rabbit hole and found a lot of stuff I think were dead ends. Then I found some stuff that's very interesting, very, very, very interesting. But there's a whole narrative at play here with a lot of these Q people, and a lot of it comes from this guy here, Mark Taylor. Have you ever heard? He calls himself Prophet Mark Taylor, he says. But he has put out some he's the Trump prophecies. This is the guy, he's a fireman, and many years before Trump was president, he called it. He's also called a lot of other things that have happened. So there you go. But make of all this what you will. But I'll play this out and just give you an idea. This is, right from the man himself. These guys are into Q and all that stuff as well, and the big time believers that Trump's playing 5D chess, right now, that it's all part of the game. He knows exactly what's going on, and I just wanted to share this, just a different perspective, and just let you hear kind of some of the stuff they say.
We're not to have a spirit of fear. We need to have courage right now. We need to know that this is something that's been ordained by God for a long time. This is something that's been in the works for many, many years. Even before Trump came into office, this has been in the works, guys. But people have to realize this. There's been a plan in place, military operation, to take down this stuff to the most minute detail. So you've got to have faith in the plan. You've got to have faith in God first, the plan second, and then our president third, because our president's not going to lie to us right now. He's telling you what needs to be done. Heed the warnings of the president. Get your information from the president. Now, we all know that sometime during this process, we could have a blackout. We could have comms go dark, where we lose the internet. Sorry, guys, not going to be any Monday Night Spiritual Smackdown maybe one night. You know what I mean? We may have to skip it one night, okay? So, but don't freak out if things go dark for 3 days or for 10 days. The bottom line is you may not have any phone service. I don't know how far they're going to take this with the comms. You're going to have 911 capabilities. They're not going to take that away. But the only communications we may have, worst case scenario, may be the president talking to us through the emergency broadcast system. You're not going to have any news. You may not have any radio. You may not have anything at this point, because they're not going to want you picking this thing up and videoing what's going on where our troops are making movements, because they don't want to broadcast that stuff to the enemy as to where we're at and what we're doing. And so these are some things that are probably coming. We've said on this show for the last year, have 10 days of food stored up. If you haven't got your food, you need to get it now, because states are locking down as we speak. So get your food, and but don't fear. Look, God is in control of this whole thing. This is what we've been praying for. This is the justice we have been praying for, and those that have gone before us have prayed for decades that don't get to see this, Chris. We're the ones, you're seeing history in the making right now. We're the ones that get to see this right now. So there's a lot going on right now. So there's more to it than meets the eye. And I want to go into this reset thing for a second, if you don't mind. This is a good time to go into this.
Go ahead.
The Lord's been dealing with me on this reset. And so during this time, could the president take the Fed down? I don't know. We're going to find out. There's a lot of stuff going on with the Fed right now, including 0% interest right now. He's been attacking the Fed for a long time. So is he going to take this back and go back to the gold standard? This is what I believe God's looking for right now in his people right now, is the gold standard, Chris. So is he going to go back? This is prophetic for the gold standard. So this lockdown we're going into, there's a couple of ways that you can look at this. Is this the second Passover? Is this another Passover that God's doing right now? Because everybody's so worried about, is this the apocalypse? No, it's their apocalypse.
Their apocalypse.
Not ours.
You better believe it.
Is this the second Passover where we're inside of our house? And so I know what it's like to be quarantined, so to speak. I was stuck in this house for 10 years, and everybody that follows me knows my testimony. I'm not going to go into that. But when you're inside and you're quarantined, so to speak, and you're in isolation, there's two ways that you can go. You can grow and mature, or you can wither and die.
There you go. I'm not going to play a whole bunch more. I mainly wanted you to hear what he was saying, because that's a very common theme and thread I found when going into some of these message boards for Q and all this, and just seeing what people say. I never say anything. I just watch, but that's what a lot of them believe, is that that's what's happening right now. This whole thing, since the extreme reaction and all that, it's all part of the plan, that there's big moves taking place behind the scenes, white hats, the patriots and the government with Trump. Hey, I'm not saying yay or nay on this. This is one of those things I'm sharing. That's what we do here. Some people get mad. How dare you? Calm down. We consider all options. You keep my mind open. And then once we find the subjects, on our own, we do our digging. We use our logic, our reason, our common sense, our critical thinking, our spiritual discernment. You have to use all of these abilities these days. Anyway, wanted to share that. That's from a YouTube channel called the McFiles Network with host Christopher McDonald. And check that out if you're interested. Hey, here's a fun little throwback. Wow. I had totally forgot about this YouTube channel until I made my last video called I Found the Weirdest YouTube Channel. If you guys haven't seen that, please check it out. It's on the channel. It's a couple videos back, but I found the weirdest YouTube channel. And some people in the comments were reminding me of lie killers. I was like, right, lie killers. I actually made a video about this channel years ago. I think it's called When Fallen Angels Make YouTube Channels. But this channel was a trip. Some of you that were around back then remember lie killers, right? You remember some of the little things. There's no information in here. They have no videos. They get rid of all their videos. But this is one of these channels that came out, I'm guessing, 2014, somewhere in that area. I mean, just came out, and I've seen this happen so often on YouTube. That's why I always have a hard time trusting any, quote, truther channels that just kind of show up in the scene, and then boom, they like blow up, within a year out of nowhere. They're huge. Well, that's what happened with this guy. I mean, they weren't huge, but they were pretty big. I remember how they 50,000 or so. I mean, they had a good number. I remember them having a pretty decent number of subscribers. They were pretty big, but they came out and just started blowing up the entire so-called truth community on YouTube, including myself. They were making videos talking about me, all your favorites, I think, Casey from Enter the Stars, Nicholson, Neftali. I mean, all of them, everybody, even a lot of channels that I didn't name that, you guys know, a lot of big truth type channels, man. We were all on the hit list from this YouTube channel called Lie Killers. And they were constantly making videos, and man, I wish they still had those videos up. Just look up my video. Maybe, hopefully you'll find it on YouTube, called When Fallen Angels Make YouTube Channels, and check it out. And in there, I've got a bunch of examples of the stuff they were doing, the videos they were making, calling me out, calling a whole bunch of people out, all the symbolism in their videos and their channel back then. It was insane. Look at this, like even the up here, Adrian Apollyon channel. Yeah, Apollyon from the pit, right? Vatican News, Jesuits Global, Order of Malta, the Royal Family, the Temple Institute. This was one of the most fascinating YouTube experiences I've ever had looking back. It really was interesting. It was such an obvious channel that was created to try to take down the rest of us. It went after, and it primarily was going after Christian type YouTubers. And even me, I never liked using that title, because I think of like Vigilant Christian, who to me was just anything but, and he made everything kind of gross and slimy. I don't even like, I'm a follower of Christ, and even I still get freaked out by people who to me are too religious, and Jesus, your hands in the air, like that stuff scares me, man. Like I still get a little freaked out, but it's fine. We all worship in our own way, but I'm just, I try to keep it cool like that. I'm not one to go screaming it through the streets, but it is very important. Of course, our faith is important. And over the years, I finally started sharing it in my videos, and I talk about it in these shows now. And I used to not do that, 10 years ago when I first started. But as time went on, I felt like I needed to, because sure, I can make a video and freak you out by showing you real crazy things happening in the world and all the connections. But I was never giving anybody any relief from that, or any kind of answers, or any way out, or a road. I had mine. I always had Christ back then, and a relationship with God. I just had to start sharing it, so I try, but I'm no preacher, pastor, or priest. And anyway, enough about me. Lie Killers, there you go. The all-seeing eye. Go, hello. Yeah, that was a really interesting trip. Please look it up. Watch it. I haven't watched that video in forever, probably since I made it. I never go back and watch my videos, but go back and check that out. When Fallen Angels Make YouTube Channels. I think that's what I called it. This is just really just a screenshot. Oh no, there's a story here. My bad. I thought it was just a screenshot, but this is from one of our YouTube friends here. One of my YouTube friends, Island Online News. Island Online News and I have been friends on YouTube for a very long time. So if you're watching, or if you're around, Island Online News, thanks. You seriously always been cool. Left cool links, filled in the blanks on some videos I've made. You've had your own perspectives, so it's been cool. Thank you. Been a pleasant experience with you, sir or lady. I'm not sure. Rockefeller Foundation, ID 2020. Watch some of this.
World, the most successful ever has been in South Korea. And I think the reason they worked, and I've done a fair amount of research in this, is they basically created a digital vaccine. Everyone got tested. Your information was entered into a government-run app. That tool was used to track where you were going, what you were doing, to help you make sure you're being smart about your social distancing, to quarantine you if you're infected, to track people you've been near to so they can get it tested ahead of time so you can contain the virus.
That's real important. You heard that. The volume's up as high as it can go. It's just, I don't know. Hopefully you can hear it okay. But this is Dr. Oz, television personality here in America. He's talking about, same thing Bill Gates was talking about, right? About that digital vaccine. He's talking about how great it is. And near the end, he's telling you it's going to be great because we'll be able to track people, track you guys.
Information was entered into a government-run app. That tool was used to track where you were going, what you were doing, to help you make sure you're being smart about your social distancing, to quarantine you if you're infected, to track people you've been near to so they can get it tested ahead of time so you can contain the virus.
Wow, right? There you have it. More of that talk. Oh, man, this one right here is really nice. I guess you could say this is a bit of a doom break. Somebody took film footage from 1911 in New York City. It's called A Trip Through New York City in 1911. Someone took this and colorized it, and wow, just wow. So yeah, this is a bit of a doom break. I'm going to play bits and pieces. We'll probably watch maybe most of this. It's really interesting. A Trip to New York City in 1911. I'm going to go grab a drink and I'm going to play the audio from this for you. I'll be right back. I mean, are you guys blown away by this stuff as much as I am? This is I found this week. Quickly became one of my favorite videos I've seen in years. Just check this out. Isn't that just the buildings? It's beautiful, huh? Just imagine running this in a split screen with New York City today, or how about New Year's Eve 2019 and New Year's Eve side by side with this. God, those cars, that family, the taxis. Wow. Would you like to live in a time like that? Or, you're just pretty much cool with where you're at, If you had a choice to make, if you could go back and start over there, even as, like, say, a kid, like, say, 10 years old or so, kind of grow up in that time, but not be an infant, not be a total child, kind of have a mind of your own a little bit there, but somewhere in your youth, starting off there, and then you could just live your life out. 1911 and on. You'd see World War II, right? You see World War II, you'd see, as an older person, you'd be entering the age of Aquarius, and you'd be entering the 60s and all that madness. It'd be pretty crazy. Regardless of where you would end up, how about this footage? Huh? Let's shift around a little. There we go. So shift around a little bit. I don't know what that meant. Skip around, I think I meant to say. Nice, huh? Here's some wide shots of the city. Check this out. This is awesome. This is awesome. Look at this. Amazing. 1911, New York City. It's so awesome. Cool, huh? Look at that. There you go. It's called a Trip Through New York City. You can find that on YouTube. I'm not sure what the channel is. Let me see. I'll jump over here. And the channel is called Dennis Shirayev. Shiryaev. Shirayev. Thanks for the video, sir. It's really cool. Some areas of the country see increase in suicide-related calls as the C virus spreads. Isolation and anxiety over the pandemic are taking a toll on Americans. Crisis support lines and suicide prevention services in several states have seen spikes in calls since the C-19 virus through everyday life askew for millions. First Link, a North Dakota-based company that answers 211 help and support lines for North Dakota and parts of Minnesota, said call volume in some of its call centers is up 300%, according to a report by Valley News Live in Fargo, North Dakota. It's so scary, it's almost like I would rather be dead, says Danielle Sine, a writer in New York City with a history of suicidal thoughts, USA Today reports. I mean, I wouldn't be, but sometimes I get so scared it feels like that. President Trump, who has been pressing to lift restrictions on most people as soon as possible, has warned of suicides by the thousands if people remain isolated. I think I've got that story up next. The National Suicide Prevention Line has not experienced significant changes in call volume at this time, says spokeswoman Francis Gonzalez. The National Crisis Text Line handled 6,000 text conversations last week, about twice the normal volume, spokeswoman says. In Portland, Oregon, suicide-related 911 calls rose 23% in the past 10 days, compared with the 10 days before the city declared an emergency, the Oregonian reported. I think the next story is, Trump says there will be suicides by the thousands if U.S. coronavirus shutdown continues. I can't disagree with that. Hate to think about it. We talked about it last week. They have suicide machines now. We haven't heard a lot about them. I did a video on it a couple of years ago when it first came out. They were talking about it. Then it showed up again in the news not long ago, or at least our news here, one of the stories I collected. So how crazy would that be? I mean, that really is full-on dystopian horror sci-fi. When we start seeing these elements come in, you know, how they want to cull the population. And if that would be an answer. Here's this fancy, slick suicide machine. If you haven't seen these are real, guys. Look this thing up. Just look up modern suicide machine and you'll see what I mean. Look, something out of space or something out of a space age type movie or something. Or a sci-fi movie, sorry. I mean, it's a classy way to go, I guess. But yeah, you sit in there and you fall asleep and that's it. There you have it. Lights out. Missouri man charged with licking items at Walmart to mock coronavirus fears. Gross. These kids. Look at this kid. A 26-year-old Missouri man who authorities say was seen in a social media video licking items at Walmart to mock fears of the pandemic was arrested and charged with making a terrorist threat. I mean, I wouldn't recommend this either. Of course, right? None of us would. It's gross. It's ridiculous. And it's crazy how so many of these young people are lemmings. You know, they see a lot of these things start on social media, these trends, and next thing you know, people are getting hurt. Some people taking their lives. The Momo Challenge. I've covered that in a few videos. Cody Lee Pfister. Whoa. Cody Lee Pfister with a P. Posted a video of himself licking deodorants at the Warrenton store on March 11th, according to court documents. As he wiped his tongue across the packages, he asked, "Who's scared of the coronavirus?" Pfister was arrested Monday. The Warrenton Police Department said in a Facebook post that it received calls from local residents as well as people overseas in the Netherlands, Ireland, and the UK to report the video. We take this, well, if you see something, say something at work, right? We take this, that's exactly what you're seeing. That just happened. If you see something, this guy got turned in from social media and now he's in jail. So I'm so grateful, just thinking out loud, that I never had social media like personal type stuff. It's always been for me, you know, the kind of work I'm into. Started with the first movie, The Scariest Movie Ever Made. That was it. I never made any social media for friends and family or any of that stuff, you know, or just hey, I'm eating eggs this morning. How about you? You know, nothing like that. I'm just grateful I didn't. No offense to those of you that did, because most of you probably have, you know, and I was right there with you. I was just all doing it just for my videos and my shows and sharing, you know, cool links and just whatever. Right. So there you go, guys. There you go. If you see something, say something. We'll check this out again here. The Warrenton Police Department said in a Facebook post that it received calls from local residents as well as people overseas in the Netherlands, Ireland, and the UK to report the video. We take this incident very seriously, especially with the infectious disease. There you go. He doesn't look very happy. Here's a short little UFO video from CEM, a bunch of words I can't pronounce. Sorry, I tried to plug your channel. But anyway, every now and then he's got some really cool little clips. This is a short one, but it's just those little dancing demons up in the sky.
Ya pecah itu. Macam ada terbakar begini. Ya pecah itu. Macam ada terbakar begini.
Woman coughs on $35,000 of goods at Pennsylvania grocery store in a very twisted prank. Oh, hold on. Hey. All right, sorry. A Pennsylvania woman ruined an estimated $35,000 worth of goods by intentionally coughing all over them while the coronavirus plagues nations worldwide, a grocery store alleged on Facebook. The woman visited a Hanover Township location of the small grocery chain Jarides Supermarket before 2:20 p.m. Wednesday, that wasn't a period there. Okay, let me read that again. The woman visited a Hanover Township location of the small grocery chain Jarides Supermarket before 2:20 p.m. Wednesday and coughed on fresh produce, a small section of the bakery, meat case, and grocery items, the store's co-owner, Joe Fasula, wrote. Authorities do not believe the woman, whose name is still unknown, is infected with COVID-19, but will make every effort to get her tested. The woman is also said to be a chronic problem in the community, whatever that means. While there's little doubt this woman was doing it as a very twisted prank, we will not take any chances with the health and well-being of our customers. We had no choice but to throw out all products she came in contact with. Which reminds me, this past week is the first time that I've seen a grocery store near where I live cleaned out of certain items. It just hadn't hit over here. You know, it hadn't hit over the last few months. I hadn't seen anything like that. I see stories about it the last few weeks, other places, see all the videos. I just went around the corner a few nights ago to my local Walmart community grocery store. It's right by the place, so why not? And they weren't out of everything, of course, but they were completely out of certain items. One item is, it may be a bit random, I guess, but let me explain. So as far as comfort food goes, there's one thing that is always my go-to, and it's because of something from when I was little. When I was a little kid during the summer, my neighbor, her name is Cricket. That was her nickname. We all called her Cricket. But she was a bus driver for the schools out, you know, where I lived. And she had kids around my age too. But during the summer, she would just be home. So I would go over there and they'd watch me for like 3 months, you know, just kind of hang out with them all day. Then I'd go back home when mom got home. And she got me addicted to this. It's a very simple sandwich, but it's, for whatever reason, my whole life now, it's always been kind of my go-to comfort food. Very simple. It's bologna. It's 2 pieces of bread, bologna, cheddar cheese, like cheddar cheese slice. But what she did the truly magical touch for me, at least as a child, since I'd never eaten anything like this before, is it was a mixture of mayonnaise and mustard and cracked black pepper. She'd put a little cracked black pepper on there on the bread after putting some mayo down, and then she'd put mustard on top and smear it all in and paint it perfectly. And then put all those together, and it was just like it took me somewhere else. As a little kid, and I went somewhere else. I think some people call it their happy place, but this felt bigger than just happy. So anyway, my whole life, I've always liked these. Not all the time. You can't always, you are what you eat. I don't want to be a bologna sandwich. But just maybe once every few months, I'll go pick up the ingredients and have a few bologna sandwiches throughout the week with mayo, mustard, little cracked black pepper on there, slice of cheddar cheese, and there you go. Very simple. I know it's not fancy, guys. All right, you can do it too. But it's crazy. No bologna and other items too. Just some items completely wiped out. Mostly meat. Another thing, this is weird. I thought about the ground beef. All the ground beef was gone except for 12 packages of grass-fed or grain-fed ground beef. Is it grain-fed or grass-fed? I think it's grass-fed or grain-fed ground beef, which to me has always been the best. Like nobody touched that. It was weird. I mean, it was great for me. I got a couple of packages, but oh, by the way, I finally went back to eating meat again for about a year there. I'd gone vegan, vegetarian, even raw foods there for a while. It's all good and it worked out pretty good, but my blood sugar was shooting through the roof, not to get in all the medical stuff or whatever. So now I've had to change things up again and go back to a bit more of a carnivorous kind of way of living. But anyway, enough about me and my eating habits. Let's get to the news. Pentagon starting mythbusters page to debunk false rumors of martial law. This is going to be good. The Pentagon, or the Pentagram, will set up a mythbusters webpage to debunk false stories about military takeovers during the COVID-19 pandemic. Defense Secretary Mark Esper said Tuesday. They're already trying to get out in front of that. Doesn't that kind of... right? And that's... it's actions, not words, I guess. Reminds me of how Denver International Airport answered all the so-called conspiracies about them for so many years. They mocked it, right? It became a whole ad campaign. They even put an animatronic gargoyle out there that a comic would talk through live and just be joking with people, and they walked around making fun of the conspiracies about the airport. There's nothing to see here, right, guys? Hey, I'm a talking gargoyle. This is crazy, right? Okay, yeah. So anyway, Pentagon, Pentagram. There is no talk of martial law, no talk of quarantine roles for the American military, Esper said. And yet, rumors to that nature are so persistent that the Pentagon plans to counter them aggressively. Esper made his remarks Tuesday afternoon during a live-streamed virtual town hall meeting for service members, their families, and civilian workers and contractors. Esper was joined on the panel by U.S. Army General Mark Milley, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and by senior enlisted advisor to the chairman, Raymond CZ Lopez. That is a long title. Hi, I'm KJ. Hi, I'm senior enlisted advisor to the chairman, Raymond CZ Lopez. There are multiple sources of disinformation about how the Pentagon will act during the pandemic, Esper said. The most prevalent rumors are that the military will take over the country during martial law and that soldiers will enforce a mandatory quarantine. Both scenarios are false, the defense chief said. Let's hope so, right? I mean, I don't want to be a total cynic about all this, but let's hope so. I'm not holding my breath. The web-based Mythbusters page will go online as early as Wednesday, Esper said. Web designers hope to include a portal for viewers to submit rumors and ask that they be verified or debunked. Wow. Oh, I'm going to have to go look at this. I'm going to have to actually go to this website and just check. Well, I don't know if I'm going to have to, because now I'm kind of like freaked out a little bit. The Pentagon, I'm not sure if I want to even, I would not interact with it, But even just going to it, I'm not even sure if that's a good idea. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a little scaredy cat. But that's creepy. That's really creepy. The web-based, quote, Mythbusters page will go online as early as Wednesday. Web designers hope to include a portal for viewers to submit rumors and ask that they be verified. Hey, government. Hey, Pentagon. Hey, Pentagram. Are you guys in the Illuminati? Was 9/11 a ritual sacrifice? Please verify or debunk. 5 minutes later, donk, donk, donk on your door. Hello? Get down. And they never saw you again. In the meantime, Milley advised service members who want accurate information should turn to their own commanders. We need to listen closely and rely on the chain of command, he said. Wow. Just wow. Liberals declare common Southern word hate speech. Oh, here we go. Here's a word I grew up with, I still use from time to time. Every so often, the speech police complain about some word that they feel is inherently sexist, bigoted, racist, or what have you. They then petition everyone to stop using the word and use the word that they make up as a substitute. The best examples of this would be gender pronouns. We are all aware of the fit that people can throw if you misgender them. That's why we have words like zer, zim, z, and whatever else they're wanting to call themselves nowadays. But now they're trying to start that y'all is hate speech and racist. Can you believe this, guys? Come on, Midwesterners. I know you're with me. Southerners for sure, but some of us Midwesterners, I've consciously tried to temper that throughout the years, especially being that I lived out in Los Angeles for so long. Y'all, it just doesn't play out there. Hey, y'all, y'all need any help? It just, I tempered it. I was careful with my y'alls out there. Neville Croft wrote, a new hate word is increasingly being used by the alt-right. The word y'all is the most recent addition to their ammunition of hate and has already sent many unsuspecting persons of unidentified gender identities into horrific seizures and panic attacks. He added, y'all is a Southern hate word that evokes all sorts of grueling, racist connotations. Just thinking about it makes me feel nauseous. Journalists in particular have faced an onslaught of harassment by bigots using this word. I've spoken to several journalists and a JIT, journalist in training, whatever that means. Somebody met on Instagram probably, from the magnificent Journalist Excellence Worldwide Discord server to hear the thoughts on the matter. He then went on to explain a few examples of misuse. It reminded me of the South's slavery-loving ways and gave me a severe panic attack over suffering of Black persons. Wow, I never even drew that connection when I've said y'all. It reminded me of the time a bigoted male tried to RAPE me by saying, do y'all want some sex? I never recovered. Really? Terrible line anyway, of course. That needs some work. I hear it almost every day, and every time I hear it, I start to involuntarily convulse and need to spend at least 20 minutes in a safe space. I was in a voice chat with some friends, and a newcomer joined and greeted us with, hey, y'all. I was so disgusted and tried to teach them about the dangers of that word and its hidden meaning, but they refused to learn. Camps with them. Put them in the camps. They actually referred to me as a woman when I clearly identified as a male. All right, I've had about enough of that, haven't you? Y'all? Hey, y'all. Does that word offend you? Are you offended by y'all? Former UK Prime Minister calls for global government, of course, to fight the C virus. I had some clips of this guy, Gordon Brown, in the movie, Scariest Movie Ever Made, 2020. Watch it for free at whoiskjosborne.com today. Gordon Brown, talking about the New World Order. He talked about it all the time when he was in office. Gordon Brown wants new powers for international bodies to deal with the outbreak. Brown wants international organizations like the World Health Organization and the United Nations to be given executive powers that would supersede national sovereignty as part of a new system overseen by world leaders and health experts. Oh boy, think about all the times in your past when people told you you were a kook, talking about the New World Order and one world system and all that, right? I know you guys have had those experiences. I'll try to stop saying right after things. I've had enough people comment in the comment section. This guy's always saying right? It's like, I try not. I'll try not to. Maybe I'll replace it with y'all. I'll start saying y'all more. This is not something that can be dealt with in one country, he said. There has to be a coordinated global response. An international task force would make sure the efforts of central banks were coordinated, help find a vaccine, and prevent profiteering, according to Brown, who wants more money and power given to the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund. We need some sort of working executive, Brown said. If I were doing it again, I would make the G20 a broader organization because in the current circumstances, you need to listen to the countries that are most affected, the countries that are making a difference, and countries where there is potential for a massive number of people to be affected, such as those in Africa. As we have exhaustively documented, it was globalism that helped spread the pandemic in the first place. Even as the virus was raging through China, the World Health Organization repeatedly insisted that countries should not impose any border controls. When many Western countries finally did close their borders weeks later, it was too little too late. All right. Cool. Oh, okay. This one's pretty crazy. I've mentioned this to you guys. I didn't bring this clip up last week. This is a video, as you can see, from 2013. It's from Black Mask, BLAQMASQ. Dr. Creep, Pandemic is the name of the song. You see it? Again, the upload date right there. June 21st, 2013. And check out what this guy says. Here we go.
Gas mask, I still filter my water clean. This isn't past tense on the plague and bad things. Couldn't be eradicated like smallpox in action. Avian influenza with the jet stream is how it happens. 2020 combined with coronavirus. Body stacking. The world is now.
Did you hear that? 2020 coronavirus body stacking. Check it out.
To spring the system equipped with the UAG, where they round up survivors in the cold facility. Watch the process of terror from the hill to the stream. I remain in the gas mask, I still filter my water clean. This isn't past tense on the plague and bad things. Couldn't be eradicated like smallpox in action. Avian influenza with the jet stream is how it happens. 2020 combined with coronavirus. Body stacking.
Crazy, huh? I don't want to play too much of that. Hey, I stopped it right on 111. How about that? But I don't want to play too much just in case. It's a song on YouTube, so you got to be careful sometimes. But if you want to go check it out for yourself, go to the YouTube channel Black Mask, BLAQMASQ. Check out Dr. Creep, that song from June 21st, 2013, mentioning the coronavirus 2020 body stacking. And I don't think this is he was an Illuminati insider that placed it in because that would have been something bigger, more mainstream. If it was in my opinion, if it was something like that, would have had more reach. But I see sometimes things like this can work spiritually, even in a good way. Perhaps he was led that information through the Holy Spirit, and then there's an argument that it was demonic. Maybe, I don't know what this guy was into back in those days. I don't know if he's a spiritual guy or not spiritual, but I don't know if he knows Christ or follows Christ or has Christ, loves God, knows God. I don't know. That's a factor. It's always a factor. I mean, if he was, shooting heroin or something like that back in 2013 and came up with the lyrics to this song, then I would think, okay, it's demonic, right? Anyway, check it out. Okay, this one it's an excerpt, and this is from Joe Biden's accuser finally tells her full story. If you didn't know, Joe Biden's, I don't want to say he's getting caught up in a Me Too movement or a Me Too situation, because the news isn't even reporting it at all. I haven't heard it anywhere. You can look online. I'm sure some of the news sources you all look into, you may have heard about this by now. But Joe Biden has an accuser has stepped up, and I'll kind of let her explain it. This goes on for a little bit, like it's 7 minutes long in total. I'll try to shoot ahead here, but we'll listen to most of this. It's pretty interesting. You make of it what you will. I don't know if this lady's telling the truth. I don't know if she's telling a lie. I'm not sure, but that's for us to investigate, I guess you'd say, or listen to and draw our own conclusions. So let me go ahead and play this for you. Give me a second.
Hello and welcome to the Katie Halper Show. I'm about to play an excerpt from an interview that I did with Tara Reid. The full episode will be up shortly. As a warning, Tara discusses sexual assault during this interview. Tara was one of 8 women to accuse Joe Biden of some form of inappropriate touching last spring, after Nevada politician Lucy Flores alleged that the vice president inappropriately touched her during her run for Congress. Tara told journalists that in 1993, when she was a staff assistant to then Senator Biden, he put his hands on her shoulders and rubbed his fingers up and down her neck. But Tara says there's more to her story, and she considered telling it last spring. But after coming forward and being smeared as a Russian agent and being doxxed, she did not. We now know from Ryan Grimm's 324 article on The Intercept, Tara did try to come forward once again in January of 2020. Tara turned to Time's Up, the nonprofit dedicated to helping women in the post-Me Too world tell their story. But Time's Up, Ryan Grimm reports, was concerned such a political story involving a potential presidential candidate could affect their nonprofit status. So here, Tara finally tells the rest of the story that she hasn't been able to tell in the past. Not surprisingly, there are no witnesses to Tara's story of alleged assault, but Tara's brother and Tara's close friend, both of whom I spoke to, recall Tara telling them about the incident at the time. Here is an excerpt. I'll be releasing the full interview shortly, and this opens with Tara describing a superior calling her into her office to ask her to do an errand. So she says that she
called me in and said, I want you to take this to Joe. He wants it. He wants you to bring it. Hurry. And I said, okay. And it was a gym bag. She said, take the gym bag. She called it athletic bag. And, she said he was down towards the Capitol and he'll meet you. And so I went down and I was heading down towards there. And he was at first talking to someone. I could see him at a different distance, and then they went away. And then we were in like the side, it was like the side area. And he just said, hey, come here, Tara. And then I handed him the thing and he greeted me. He remembered my name. And then we were alone, and it was the strangest thing. There was no exchange really. He just had me up against the wall. And I was wearing a skirt and, business skirt, but I wasn't wearing stockings. It was kind of a hot day that day, and I was wearing heels. And I remember my legs had been hurting from the marble, of the Capitol, walking. And so I remember that kind of stuff. I remember I was wearing a blouse, and he just had me up against the wall, and the wall was cold. And I remember it happened all at once. The gym bag, I don't know where it went. I handed it to him, it was gone. And then his hands were on me and underneath my clothes. And and then he went down my skirt, but then up inside it. And he penetrated me with his fingers, whatever. And he was kissing me at the same time, and he was saying something to me. He said several things, and I can't remember everything he said. I remember a couple of things. I remember him saying first, before, as he was doing it, do you want to go somewhere else? And then him saying to me, when I pulled away, he got finished doing what he was doing, and I kind of was pulled back, and he said, come on, man, I heard you liked me. And that phrase stayed with me because I kept thinking what I might have said. And I can't remember exactly if he said I thought or if I heard, but it's like he implied that I had done this. I don't know. And for me, it was everything shattered in that moment, because I knew we were alone. It was over, right? He wasn't trying to do anything more, but I looked up to him. He was my father's age. He was this champion of women's rights in my eyes, and I couldn't believe it was happening. It seemed surreal. And I just felt sick because when he pulled back, he looked annoyed, and he said something else to me that I don't want to say. And then he said, I must have looked shocked, and he grabbed me by the shoulders. I don't know how I looked, but I must have looked something, because he grabbed me by the shoulders and he said, you're okay, you're fine, you're okay, you're fine. And then he walked away and he went on with his day. And what I remember next is being in the Russell building, like where the big windows are and the stairs by myself. And my body, I was shaking everywhere because it was cold all of a sudden. And I don't know, I felt like I was shaking just everywhere. And I was trying to grasp what had just happened and what I should do or what I should say. But I knew it was bad because he was so angry. Like when he left, like I could feel, you know how when you know someone's angry, they don't necessarily say anything. Like he smiles when he's angry and you can just feel it emanating from him. Like,
do you want to share that thing that you said you don't, like you said, like, I don't want to say what he said, that thing he said to you?
Yeah, I guess I could.
I mean, you don't have to.
It's okay. It's just, it's almost like giving a weapon to them.
How so?
Well, it's like, I don't want them to know how much it hurt. I don't, you know, I don't want him to know when I don't know. But
that,
yeah,
like, that you remembered it?
Yeah, just I don't know. But yeah, I can say it. Yeah, there was something he said that I didn't want to say, and I didn't want to say it because it's the thing that stays in my head over and over, and it's a thing that kind of stayed with me over the years. But he said, when he had me against the wall after I pulled away, and he had said, "Hey, you know, come on, heard you liked me," and I knew he was angry right after he took his finger. He just like pointed at me and he said, "You're nothing to me." And he just looked at me and he goes, "You're nothing, nothing." And then I must have reacted. And I think he only said it twice. I said, but I just heard the word nothing. And I must have reacted because that's when he took me by the shoulders and he said, "You know, you're okay, you're fine, you're okay."
So there you have it. There you have it. I know a lot of you are really disappointed because most of the people in my audience are huge Biden supporters. I know that for a fact. Just kidding. But all kidding aside, if this is real and that really happened, of course, I feel terrible for that lady. And you know, sadly enough, that's not out of the range of something I could see him doing just from the other behavior he's exhibited publicly that's incredibly disturbing for so long, oftentimes involving the little ones. Joe Biden's sexual assault accuser breaks silence. Okay, that was it. That was the audio we played. It says when Reed initially came out about her experience with Biden, she told the Union that he did uncomfortable things like put his hand on my shoulder and run his finger up my neck. Reed also said that she cut ties with Biden's office over an early 1993 staff argument. According to Reed, Biden wanted her to serve drinks because he liked her legs. Reed says she didn't hear this directly from Biden, but she learned of it during her argument with staff. Reed refused to serve the drinks, which she believes was a move that affected her career. My life was hell, she said. This was about power and control. I couldn't get a job on the Hill. She eventually left Biden's office in August of 93. Anyway, there's that. Okay, just a short excerpt I'm going to play for you. This is a more like really disturbing mind control type garbage coming out of Netflix, who blocked me. Netflix blocked me over a year ago. It's one of those things I made a comment about some of the programming they had coming out, and is one of those that hit, you know, it's like, oh, cool. Like lots of people were giving it thumbs up and it was turning up at the top of the comments. And that doesn't happen all the time. Plus, I don't comment on other things all the time, but I thought this was a pretty good one. I can't even remember what it was. It was so long ago. But anyway, at one point, it just kind of stopped gaining momentum really quick, like after a couple of days. I was like, huh? So I did the old logged out of my channel and then just went on YouTube and looked that up. And the comment was gone. You know, that's what happened. That's when you know you're out of there. Anyway, Coffee and Kareem is the name of the show. Ed Helms is one that, man, he's been in so many movies and even TV shows like The Office, where there is symbolism surrounding him or him doing something with symbolism. I did a video a long time ago. I'm going to do a new version of it because this episode just came on not long ago. I say not long ago, it's probably about 6 months ago, but I've saved it so I wouldn't forget. But it's The Office, the TV show The Office, and this was near the end, the last few seasons where Ed Helms came in as the new Michael, if you will. And there was an opening of one of the episodes where he does the pyramid with his hands, points to his one eye, and then he flashes the horns, the 666. And he does it real subtle, and it has nothing to do with the show at the time. There's no follow-up, no joke, no nothing. It's just he does that real quick as soon as the episode starts, and then leads into, or shortly after, and leads into explaining something to all the people in the office in a room, like a boardroom. I know this probably sounds cuckoo. You can look it up, though. It's pretty obvious and pretty interesting to me. So I may do a new version here soon because I've got a copy of it. Anyway, so check this out. I'll just play a little bit of this, and it just shows what kind of stuff. This is him with a little kid. Hold on.
Back up, yo. Your dick is rubbing against my ass.
Well, then turn towards me.
I don't want to rub dicks either.
Okay, that's it. That's really all you needed, I guess, to understand, at least in my opinion, what this kind of thing's all about. That's it. There you go. If you want to see that, if it didn't make sense, I don't want to play it again. But yeah, that's comedy. This is comedy. They call this comedy. It's the word they use. Why did hundreds of CEOs resign just before the world started going absolutely crazy? That's a heck of a question. In the months prior to the most ferocious stock market crash in history and the eruption of the biggest public health crisis of our generation, we witnessed the biggest exodus of corporate CEOs that we've ever seen. And as you'll see below, corporate insiders also sold off billions of dollars worth of shares in their own companies just before the stock market imploded. In life, timing can be everything, and sometimes people simply get lucky. But it does seem odd that so many among the corporate elite would be so exceedingly lucky all at the same time. In this article, I'm not claiming to know the motivations of any of these individuals, but I'm pointing out certain patterns that I believe are worth investigating. Oh, and this is from investmentwatchblog.com, March 25th, from Michael Snyder. One financial publication is using the phrase the Great CEO Exodus to describe the phenomenon that we've been witnessing. It all started last year when chief executives started resigning in numbers unlike anything that we've ever seen before. The following was published by NBC News last November. Chief executives are leaving in record numbers this year, with more than 1,332, the 33 and the 32, stepping aside in the period from January through the end of October, according to new data released on Wednesday. While it's not unusual to see CEOs fleeing in the middle of a recession, it is noteworthy to see such a rash of executive exits amid robust corporate earnings and record stock market highs. Last month, 172 chief executives left their jobs, according to executive placement firm challenger Gray and Christmas. It's the highest monthly number on record, and the year-to-date total outspaces even the wave of executive exits during the financial crisis. By the end of the year, an all-time record high, 1,480 CEOs had left their posts. But to most people, it seemed like the good times were still rolling at the end of 2019. Corporate profits were rising, and the stock market was setting record high after record high. Yes, there were lots of signs that the global economy was really slowing down, but most experts were not forecasting an imminent recession. So why did so many chief executives suddenly decide that it was time to move on? The following are just a few of the big-name CEOs that chose to step down in 2019. There's Boeing, United Airlines, Alphabet, Gap. You can see some huge companies, though. Of course, the mass exodus of chief executives did not end there. In fact, A whopping 219 CEOs stepped down during the month of January 2020 alone. Wow. By then it was, I'm going to save this one here. This is a good one. By then it was starting to become clear that the C virus that was ripping through China could potentially become a major global pandemic. And I certainly can understand why many among the corporate elite would choose to abandon ship at that moment. Some of these CEOs have made absolutely absurd salaries for many years, and it's much easier to take the money and run than it is to stick around and steer a major corporation through the most difficult global crisis that any of us have ever experienced. The following are just a few of the well-known CEOs that have resigned so far in 2020. So look at that. Harley Davidson, Disney, IBM, T-Mobile, LinkedIn, MasterCard, Hulu. It's important for me to say that I do not have any special insight into the personal motivations of any of these individuals, and every situation is different. But I do think that it's quite strange that we have seen such an unprecedented corporate exodus at such a critical moment in our history. Meanwhile, top corporate executives were dumping billions of dollars worth of shares in their own companies just before the market completely cratered. The following comes from the Wall Street Journal. Top executives at U.S. traded companies sold a total of roughly $9.2 billion in shares of their own companies between the start of February and the end of last week, Wall Street Journal analysis shows. The selling saved the executives, including many in the financial industry, potential losses totaling $1.9 billion, according to the analysis, as the S&P 500 stock index plunged about 30% from its peak on Feb 19 through close of trading March 20th. There you have it. What do you think? Why did hundreds of CEOs resign just before the world started going absolutely crazy? Oh, this is it'll speak for itself. This is from public freakout videos. This is from March 25th, but this has to do with the toilet paper rage that's happening out there. Something just occurred to me coming back here to YouTube. I wanted to throw this out there. Some of you know I've got a friend on YouTube named Casey from Enter the Stars channel. It used to be Enter the 5T4RZ, Enter the Stars. And then for a long time, he was on Enter the Stars Reloaded. Well, his Enter the Stars Reloaded just got demonetized. So I think he's doing more of his work. He's moving over to his Enter the Stars, and he'll be uploading a lot more there. But, so just please keep that in mind. If you're a fan of Casey's, if you like Enter the Stars, check that out. Find out where he's moving to and what he's up to and what he needs and whatever else, and he's a warrior. He's been in there for a long time. Me and him have been friends for many, many years on here, even friends outside of YouTube. A really, really great guy, and really has a great gift and everything. So just wanted to throw that out there. All right, just check it out. He does great stuff. If you don't know him, check out his work. Anyway, let's move on here. I guess you could say this is a bit of a doom break. Kind of. There's still some, well, you'll see. Let's check some of this out.
Hi. Yeah, look at this wonderful woman who just told me to go F myself and mind my own effing business, who just bought the entire store of paper towels, toilet paper, so that nobody else can have any. It's really lovely. And I wish I had gotten her earlier when she was telling me to go F myself and mind my own effing business. But now she's being all calm because she knows she's going to be on everywhere. Yeah. This is nice. Oh, it's going to go viral. Too bad I didn't get her when she was freaking out and yelling at me.
Why didn't you video inside the store? They sold it to me.
Yeah, I see that. It shouldn't be allowed. I hope you're not going to go sell it to other people. Don't worry, you'll see her on the street corner selling it for double in a minute.
That's exactly what she's going to do.
I know.
Can I get a box?
No. She bought it all from the store, and she thinks it's right and okay. And she told me to go F myself and mind my own effing business.
God damn it.
All right, there you go. I'm not going to play all of it, but if you want to go watch that, see the rest, see the conclusion. It's like about a 4-minute long video. But whoever this lady is with the truck, yeah, she went to the store and bought all of their crates or huge boxes of toilet paper, everything they had, and see, loading it up in the truck. I mean, that's just such a nasty spirit to me. It's a nasty way about some people out there. And I don't know if she's joking, but the girl filming said, "You're probably going to go sell this for double." And lady's like, "That's exactly what I'm going to go do." Which I guess I wouldn't be surprised, but it's that, hoarding, there's a price for that. I mean, there's a worldly price, that'll be paid for things like this too, for your actions, Terrible though, isn't it? I don't think that's most people, but it's out there. That element's out there. This right here is one of the most important videos I've ever seen when it comes to Trump. You make up your own mind, but I think this is really important. He's really putting the truth out there, I believe. Check it out.
Keep calling this the Chinese virus. There are reports of dozens of incidents of bias against Chinese Americans in this country. Your own aide, Secretary Azar, says he does not use this term. He says ethnicity does not cause the virus. Why do you keep using this? A lot of people say it's racist.
It's not racist at all, no, not at all. It comes from China. That's why. It comes from China. I want to be accurate.
You keep calling this the Chinese virus. There are reports of dozens of incidents of bias against Chinese Americans in this country. Your own aide, Secretary Azar, says he does not use this term. He says ethnicity does not cause the virus. Why do you keep using this? A lot of people say it's racist.
It's not racist at all, no, not at all. It comes from China.
It comes from China. China. Okay, this one's, I think this is interesting. This guy's name is Dwayne Wade. Now, I hate to be such a, what's the word I'm looking for here? I guess ignorant. I hate to be so ignorant of sports and sport stars, but I really don't know. I don't watch sports. I'll watch some UFC fights occasionally, but anyway, Dwayne Wade, I'm pretty sure he's some kind of a big deal in the sports world. But look at the art he's creating here. Look at this. I think it speaks for itself.
Come a little closer.
Okay. Explain.
What we have here is my tagline: "We are in this together," because right now we're in this quarantine together. And then you have love, right? You have an eye, so it's like I see you. I see you.
Is that like the third eye, or?
I see you, see me, okay? And then together forever, right? So then, just a little art, artwork. Yeah.
Okay. So this is not, I just want to make sure for our viewers, your Madonna in the tub moment.
I ain't been on social media like that. I don't know what's going on.
On your art thing.
Yeah, I'm on my basket shit. But come a little closer.
Okay. Explain.
What we have here is my tagline: "We are in this together," because right now we're in this quarantine together. And then you have love, right? You have an eye, so it's like I see you. I see you.
Is that like the third eye, or?
I see you, see me, okay? And then together.
He even put the sun symbol above the pyramid, though.
I see you, see me, okay? And then together forever, right? So then, just a little art, artwork. Yeah.
Okay.
Just a little artwork.
I just want to make sure for our viewers, your
Mayor Garcetti announces water and power will be shut off for non-essential LA businesses that don't close. That's rough. That's harsh. That's like Hunger Games type harsh to me. The Los Angeles mayor announces water and power will be shut off for non-essential businesses that will not close. The mayor opened his daily briefing Tuesday, recognizing what may have been the first teenage C-19 death in LA County, and went on to announce actions against non-essential businesses that don't close and a new portal for recruiting medics. He reminded young people that the virus can hit them too, urging them to stay home and practice social distancing. Your behavior can save a life and take a life, he said, and that life could be yours. The mayor addressed President Trump's remarks from earlier Tuesday about having the nation opened up and just raring to go by Easter. Garcetti said he didn't think LA would be back to normal in that short time. We won't extend it one day longer than we need to, Garcetti said, but emphasized that the safer at home measure had to be followed through. Mayor said LA is 6 to 12 days behind New York in being hit with a wave of positive cases. The peak's not there yet. He said it'll be bad. Anyway, kind of see where that's going, right? See the setup there. Water and power will be shut off for non-essential LA businesses. And I think I have some stories tonight about how they're treating churches as non-essential. Have you seen that? We'll find it here in a little bit. Oh, okay, this one, wow, this is going to be a fun one for those people out there that have followed so-called conspiracy type YouTube channels for many years, like a lot of you in my audience, but other channels. Here's one for you. Do you remember a channel that was called Spy Kitten? Spy Kitten. See, I don't know how much of this I can play because I know this guy's got ads. I'm pretty sure. It's 834,000 subs. Explore With Us is the name of the channel. Explore With Us. It's called 5 YouTubers Who Disappeared Under Scary Circumstances. So I'll just kind of like, I can go to the screenshots of things. Let's see. There's Spy Kitten. It's kind of a picture of her. Let's see here.
That may have had something to do with her disappearance.
I don't know what to believe. I don't want to believe,
Anyway, I don't want to play too much of this, but here's another. There she is, Spy Kitten. She did, she would do kind of some similar subjects that I've gotten into throughout the years. Conspiracies with, Illuminati things in Hollywood and stuff like this. Mind control type stories. But her channel was one of those that just blew up, though. It's another one of those that blew up. Pretty much every video she made would get over 1 million views. I mean, it was crazy. Do you guys remember that? Like, it was one of those channels that she showed up, like, just at this point, maybe, I don't know, 5 years ago, 4 years ago? I don't know. She came hot in on the scene, right? When the conspiracy stuff was real hot on YouTube. They hadn't censored it too bad. And we were running this joint. We were running this joint. Because people were looking for truth, all around. And there were a lot of channels sharing their perspectives. And there was a lot of choices we could make and choose this from here and that from there. And it was great, But so Spy Kitten. Anyway, here's what happened. There's a video it says here called Finding Spy Kitten TV, the unseen side of Spy Kitten TV exposed. But let me just jump to the chase here and show you what's happening. She has a new YouTube channel where she reads tarot cards. I'm trying to find it. Sorry.
Videos, which is kind of an interesting change from being so religious.
Okay, here we go.
So thanks to the YouTube channel Buried Archives, we now know Spy Kitten is actually running a new channel called The Witching Hour with over 15,000 subscribers. She's now doing tarot card readings as her.
There you go. So I guess her new channel is called The Witching Hour, where she does tarot card readings. So there you go. That's what happened to Spy Kitten. People were asking for a long time. Remember, that was a meme, if you will, within this kind of community, is what happened to Spy Kitten. And you said she was a hit maker, man. Every video she would make just blew up, would go crazy viral. And then just as soon as she popped in and, blew up, she just disappeared, and I guess that's what she wound up going into. And there you have it. Interesting. Planet X just revealed by Google Sky. Winged disc visible. Here we go. This is on intellihub.com. Excuse me. This is from a few years ago, so I had this up for something else. But if you guys are into that Planet X type stuff, you can look up this on IntelliHub. Planet X just revealed by Google Sky, black swath gone, winged disc visible. And I just thought I'd share that for the people who are really big into that theory. Right there, you can see it. I can't make the picture any bigger, but there's the winged disc, if you will. Make of that what you will. Oh, this one's pretty crazy too. You guys, I'm sure most of you have probably seen this by now that have Netflix, but Tiger King, pretty crazy documentary. And that one hits close to home because it's all about a guy that's from Oklahoma, and that's my home state. And I'm here now. I'm in Oklahoma right now. And I remember seeing stories about him. He's always been kind of a crazy local legend. You know, he'd show up on different news stories from time to time, and he had, of course, had the zoo out there, and people would go out there and visit. There's always some weird stories about him. But then all the other stuff started coming out. So we found out about that. That was an ongoing, almost nightly news story around here over a year ago or so about, you know, him getting busted and trial and all this other stuff. So, but what a crazy, crazy story. Very interesting story. One of the most interesting overall stories I've seen. I don't just, you know, blanket hate Netflix because, of course, a lot of it is programming and bad stuff. But to me, every now and then you'll find something really, truly, genuinely interesting and original like this. I thought this was one of them. But anyway, you may disagree. But it was captivating. It's such a strange. It was like a David Lynch movie in real life. That's the best way. It was like a David Lynch movie in real life. Popularity of Netflix's Tiger King prompts sheriff to ask for leads in 1997 cold case. Florida sheriff is jumping on the popularity of the Netflix series Tiger King to ask for new leads in the 1997 disappearance of Jack Donald Don Lewis. The true crime docuseries, which premiered on Netflix this month, revolves around the life of Oklahoma zookeeper Joseph Exotic and the events that led him to plan a murder for hire plot, animal rights activist Carol Baskin. The show also explores Baskin's life, including the disappearance of her husband, Don Lewis, in 1997. Tiger King and its strange but true story has fascinated the internet. All right, we know all that. Anyway, there you go. So if you guys watched the whole thing, you'll know how just kind of crazy that is. I wonder what they'll find. I wonder if they'll find anything. But I guess in a really weird way, maybe that would be a win. Of course, it'd be a huge win for Tiger King in his eyes, right? Because that was one heck of a battle those two had with each other. This is downtown Seattle. Woman screams at street preacher. This is from Videos Club. Videos Club, posted March 29th, 2020, a couple days ago. Here we go. This is a lady yelling at a street preacher.
Go home! There's a stay-at-home order!
Oh, wait, sorry. There's some language here, too. In case you've got the little ones hanging out, there's a little bit of harsh language here. By little ones, of course, I mean your puppies, your kittens.
Go home! There's a stay-at-home order that you are literally not following.
Yeah, the Bible. I need to preach the word of God.
Go home!
I need to reach people out here.
Back home, you asshole! I will continue screaming. Would you like this? Because I'm actually finding it really, really relaxing.
Well, why don't you explain to me what I'm doing?
Go the fuck home!
Why don't you like what I'm doing?
Go the fuck home! Go the fuck.
I think you get the general idea, but yeah, it's not nice. Now here's a happy story. This is a happy story. I would say this qualifies as a dune break. 16-year-old high school wrestler stops man trying to kidnap 3 kids in New Mexico. Kanan Bauer, a 16-year-old high school wrestler and district champion, stopped a man attempting to kidnap 3 kids. Robbie Starbuck shared the video and wrote, "A man in New Mexico tried to kidnap 3 kids. A 16-year-old named Kanan jumped into action and from across the street when he saw what was happening and took the man down until police arrived. This is what men are supposed to do. The courage he has at 16 gives me hope." Let me see if I can find that video. Maybe this is it. Yeah, okay, cool. Check this out. You can see him down there on the bottom, right? Or y'all. That's right. I'm supposed to, instead of saying right, I'm supposed to be saying y'all. Then everybody jumps in. It's great, though. They all hold this guy down. Other people join in. Some lady starts hitting him with this caution sign. So there you go. But good job, huh? 16-year-old kid. How great is that? Okay, this one's really crazy here, too. Let's see. This is Alexa, did the government release the you know what? Check this out.
Alexa, did the government release the coronavirus?
According to Event 201, the government planned this event, created the virus, and had a simulation of how the countries would react. This simulation occurred October 18th, 2019. The government released the virus among the population and has lost control of the outbreak.
Wow. Wow. So you can find that one on YouTube. I found it here in Reddit. It's called Alexa, did the government release the coronavirus? And of course, they had to get creative with the spelling. You definitely have to do that now. So check that out. Alexa, did the government release the K-Rona V 2 I's R-U-S? There you go. It's pretty haunting, I guess, is what I felt when I first listened to this. Jerusalem residents awakened mystified by simultaneous midnight shofar blasts. Residents throughout Jerusalem were awakened at midnight on Monday morning by the sound of shofar blasts permeating Israel's capital. The event appears to be a spiritual wake-up call asking God to heal the world of the you-know-what virus. Here, we'll play some. It's kind of hard to hear, so it's all good. But you can find that one also on YouTube, Shofar Blasts at Midnight in Jerusalem. Okay, this one's, wow, more of that dystopian nightmare future world we always saw on the silver screen come to life. Have you seen this about the Empire State Building? Starting tonight, through the C-19 battle, our signature white lights will be replaced by the heartbeat of America, with the white and red siren and the mast of heroic emergency workers on the front line of the fight. Okay, well, why does this creep me out so much when I look at it? Look at this. Come on, Chubbs. Yeah. when I first found this, I found it in a forum, and somebody had added, which made it much more nightmarish, but somebody had added a siren, like just nonstop. And as my first exposure to this video, I was like, there's no way that cannot be. They've gone too far. Okay, they've gone too far. Now they've gone too far. They went too far a long time ago, but I'd be like, wow, what an obvious, okay. So not the nightmarish siren, but still scary. And it looks a lot like Mordor to me. Is that what it's called in Lord of the Rings, Mordor? The huge one eye atop the, whatever it is, castle or something, or what is it sat on top of? The eye, the all-seeing eye. In Lord of the Rings was on top of, is it a pillar? I can't remember. Does it even matter? Okay, now check this guy out. This is from Axiom Knowledge on YouTube, uploaded March 29th, 2020. And he's in New York City on a subway. And check this out. This is what he did.
Everybody, you guys know the coronavirus is fake, right? It's a fake virus. You don't have to wear masks. They're just trying to scare you. And the more of you that wear masks, they're going to keep taking our rights away because it's a social experiment designed by Bill Gates to see how scared we would be. That's why Bill Gates just resigned from Microsoft, because he has the patent for the vaccine and he's not a doctor. It's a fake virus. Stop wearing the mask. The more people that wear masks, you guys are showing fear. And they're going to keep pushing these laws and closing down all the businesses. Now there's no work for people because they found out that everybody was scared of this fake shit. The coronavirus has been around for years. It's nothing more than a common cold. And if you're going to die from a virus, the mask isn't going to save you anyway. If it's that powerful, the mask isn't going to save you anyway. It's fake.
How about that? How about them apples? And that was called a BOM with a B at the end, just went off on the NYC subway. Man, whoa. I don't know if I would name it that, just with the algorithm and all. But hey, he's got away with it so far. So you better watch that one while it's hot. I don't know if that one's going to last. That's just been my experience with, the algorithm. So check that out, though, if you're interested. Axiom Knowledge is the YouTube channel there. German state financial minister takes his own life over C virus despair. A German state finance minister took his own life after expressing despair over how to handle the economic fallout from the virus. Thomas Schaefer, who was the finance minister of Germany's Hesse region, was found dead by you-know-what Saturday on railway tracks at Hoschem, which is near Frankfurt. State Governor Volker Bouffier said Sunday that the 50-year-old had become consumed with how to handle the virus crisis, sending the global markets into freefall. He said Schaefer was particularly concerned about whether it would be possible to succeed in fulfilling the population's huge expectations, particularly of financial help. I have to assume that these worries overwhelmed him, Bouffier said. He apparently couldn't find a way out. He was in despair and left us. What do you think? Former Joe Biden Secret Service agent. We had to protect women from him. Weinstein level stuff. A former Secret Service agent assigned to Biden residents claims that the service often had to protect female agents from him. Speaking on the condition of anonymity, the agent asserted that we had to cancel the VP Christmas get-together at the vice president's house because Biden would grope all of our wives' and girlfriends' butts. The annual party was for agents and Navy personnel who were tasked with protecting the Biden family. He would mess with every single woman or teen. It was horrible, the agent said. According to the source, a Secret Service agent once got suspended for a week in 2009 for shoving Biden after he cupped his girlfriend's boob while the couple was taking a photo with them. The situation got so heated, the source told Cassandra Fairbanks, that others had to step in to prevent the agent from hitting the then VP. Additionally, the agent claims that Biden would walk around the VP residence naked at night. I mean, stark naked, Weinstein-level stuff, he added. He said that men on duty would frequently stand in front of female agents and Navy women that were present like a damn guardian. On some occasions, they would make up reasons to get the women away from where he was. They weren't allowed to disobey him at all, but we'd take them away under pretended auspices, the agent stated. The official VP residence is the Queen Anne-style house at One Observatory Circle in Washington, D.C., which is located on the northeast grounds of the U.S. Naval Observatory. The property is maintained and cared for by the service branch. Best-selling author Ronald Kessler wrote about Biden's problem with female agents in his book, The First Family Detail. Agents say that whether at the vice president's residence or at his home in Delaware, Biden has a habit of swimming in his pool nude. Gross. Kessler wrote, female Secret Service agents find that offensive. I would hope so. All right, I think I've had about enough of that. We know. I even did a video on Biden way back. Just the creepy stuff. It was set to the tune from a band, one of my favorite bands of all time, a band called Ween, W-E-E-N. Don't let the name fool you, because it sounds kind of crazy and foolish, but just a really eclectic band. Could do anything from country music to hardcore metal, and they do, and everything in between. They're just very interesting band. Just in, President Trump extends the C virus social distancing guidelines and economic lockdown to April 30th. So there you go. There you have that. How's that going to work out? What do you think? Is this what we're happening or what we're seeing? Here's one of those things, another one of those little rabbit holes I jumped into, but I'm glad somebody pointed this out, that this is a good way that people will put out fake conspiracy stuff. And sometimes they may not even realize it. You know, they really think they found something. So they just want to get it out there real quick, and they put it out there, and it turns out to be, what's up, Chubbs? Huh? Hi. I want you to say something. All right, we'll see. Maybe he'll say something a little bit. Oh, I'll go get him a treat in a little bit. That'll make him say something. I'll make him do tricks for a treat. That's right. You're gonna do silly tricks. You're gonna make voices. You're gonna meow when I want you to. University of Memphis professor dies from coronavirus, report says. And then the next story from another source is 69-year-old retired Milwaukee police lieutenant died from COVID-19. So somebody was putting this out there. People have put this out there that, oh, look what I found. We have a crisis actor on our hands here. But it turns out that this guy in real life was actually both. And if you read the articles, it tells you that he is a police lieutenant, retired, and he was a professor. So it's like, it's one of those simple things, but some people may not care about this. That's just that's minor stuff. No, it's very important, because I find stuff like this all the time. You guys do too. It's why we have to be careful about what we jump onto and start putting out there, and as truth and as a fact, just because maybe it's sensational and it's I gotcha. Somebody maybe saw this story and going through the news that day, and later saw another story, the same picture, and it's like, oh my gosh, look what I found. People have to know the truth. Must get it out there. Hi, Chubbs. No? All right. Still being quiet. China bribing children to report on their own religious parents. What could go wrong? Excuse me, I'm going to take a little drink here. During the Cultural Revolution, China's communist government offered monetary rewards to children who reported religious believers, including even their parents, to the police. It's still happening, reports Bitter Winter, an online magazine on religious liberty and human rights in China. The report said the current regime continues to use this despicable method to crack down on religion. It started out as one of the Chinese Communist Party's go-to tools to suppress dissent following the revolution. In April 2019, a primary school principal in Hot, is that how you say that? Hot, no, it's not Hot, it's Hohhot, I guess. Hohhot, the capital of Inner Mongolia, gathered the school students for a lecture on the importance of reporting on religious believers. He first played a video in which a teacher was telling students to observe if their families or neighbors received visitors who could be religious. After a student in the video revealed to the group that his neighbor had hosted a gathering of believers, the teacher reported the fact to the police. Subsequently, the neighbor was arrested, together with a group of visiting believers, the report said. After watching the video, the school's assistant principal encouraged the students to follow the boy's example and report to the police religious family members and neighbors. He also threatened to expel from school anyone who believes in God. The children were asked to fill out a form about the religious status of their family members, indicating if strangers often visit their homes, when families or what families do in their free time, and other similar facts about their daily lives. One Christian parent, not identified in the report, explained, "My child told me that in the video, students were told that those who don't go to the government-approved places of worship believe in a zijiao, and they should be reported to the police at once. By doing so, the government is misleading our children. They are so young and ignorant. My child was frightened after watching this video, but he promised not to report me to his teacher." Forms have been handed out to middle school students asking for information about their parents' religious denomination and where they gather. Last October, in a primary school in the central province of Hunan, a police officer showed students a pile of 100 RMB bills and more than 20 travel coupons to Malaysia, trying to induce them to disclose the religious status of their parents and relatives. Those who did were rewarded with 100 RMB, or about $14, and a travel coupon. The next day, the principal threatened students in the school that anyone who believes in God would be expelled, the report said. Police questioned students about family members who believe in God, offering about $23 as a reward to report them to the authorities. According to a member of the Church of the Almighty God from a county in the southeastern province, police officers distributed anti-religious leaflets at her grandson's primary school in the fall of last year, demanding the students their families who were members of the CAG, the Church of Almighty God. If not, they were threatened to be barred from school. Since then, the boy started pressuring his grandmother to give up her faith. Wow. Do you say it can't happen here?
What's up, Internet?
Okay. Here's one I wanted to share with you as well. So, not long ago, I guess as well, a few months back, I know in the past I've shared a few videos from a YouTube channel called Soph, S-O-P-H. She's changed her name. I think it was Lieutenant Corbis. It used to be L-T-C-O-R-B-I-S. Then it went to Soph because YouTube started messing with her. But she was this, young kid, probably, 11, 12 years old, making these videos where she's talking like an adult. Yeah, there's some foul language in there, but if you even beyond the foul language, if you can look beyond that, this kid was so on point with so many things. It was hilarious. It's like a real smart little kid, and I even went to the point of watching some of her live broadcasts to see if she really was that clever. And she really was. She's a very clever kid. But anyway, she got really popular on YouTube there for a while just by slamming social justice warriors and feminists and all this other kind of stuff, right? And the LGBTQIZIG, she was always going in on that kind of thing. So they pretty much shut her down. But here's another one that just a few days ago I found. This shows up in my feed, and I shared it. I'd never heard of this person, but this subject is something we've talked about here. So I was like, okay, let's check this out. And when it says teen talking about a heavy subject like this, most likely not in a good way, then it's like, okay, then you know, this might be a young person that's awake, and that's a good thing, you know. And then, so I went ahead and shared it on my community feed, and a bunch of people got real riled up about it, man. Some people were saying it was a Mark Dice thing, and it was a government-run psyop, and all this other stuff. And I just didn't want to deal with it, so I took it down from there. But I still wanted to share it here because I think this kind of stuff has value. I don't want to play any of this person's stuff here necessarily because I don't know how they are with copyright stuff. But she's a very funny kid. Very spot on, you know, with a lot of her observations. And it's always a good thing, whether it's a young man or a young woman, to see someone around that age that's this wizened. You know, they may not have all the words, but, you know, they do really good. They get their points across, and they really go in on some things. And it's a lot of things we go in on, some of the ridiculous programming taking place in the world around us. So, you know, if you don't believe this is all part of a government psyop or something like this, you know, check out Cringe Panda if you're interested. It's, again, always good to see a young person attacking some of these issues and not just falling in line with what the NWO wants them to do, you know. Okay, check this out. This one's, I think this one's pretty funny. This is Chet Hanks responding to all the stuff.
You motherfuckers are gonna believe what you want because you're already so fucking committed to your weird internet conspiracies, but I'm not actually in the fucking Illuminati, dude. I got this fucking tattoo because I'm extremely spiritual. I believe in God. I believe that God oversees everything, has a plan for everything. But you motherfuckers are on some other shit. Okay, I was trolling in that last video, obviously, because I'm pissed off at what you motherfuckers are fucking saying about my family. The ridiculous, sick fucking shit that you guys like to sit around and fucking think about is fucking disgusting. Look, I get it. I question everything, and I don't fucking trust shit. But that doesn't mean that every fucking conspiracy out there is the fucking truth. And I know you're going to fucking say, oh, this is an Illuminati tactic, and I'm trying to cause disinformation. But you motherfuckers are on some bullshit. Does it look like I'm in the fucking Illuminati, dude? I got a bunch of shitty-ass fucking furniture in here. All right, check this out. You motherfuckers are going to believe what you want because you're...
So I don't know. What do you think? You know, beware the lady protesteth too much. I don't know. Don't tell him I called him a lady. He might really be connected. Don't want to fool with that stuff. Chet Hanks, everybody. Police launch tool to report stay-home violations. With Government Inslee's stay-home, stay-healthy order in effect, the Bellevue police have developed an easy way for residents to report violations. Reports logged into the My Bellevue app will generate a heat map showing where there are potentially illegal gatherings or business activity. How about that, huh? Please do not call 911 to report these gatherings. 911 is for emergency only. All right, How to report. You can report these incidents through the My Bellevue app on your electronic device or the My Bellevue portal. And all right, boring stuff, but you know, that's kind of freaky. Launching a tool to help report stay-home violations. Just more see something, say something, right? More tattletales, a nation of tattletales. And, you know, I'm sure they'll offer in time, you know, rewards for tattletales. You've been a good slave. A good slave. Me? Yeah, you. Okay. Yeah, here's your treat. You know, there you go. Oh. You keep being a tattletale. Good job. The Office's John Krasinski starts the Good News Network. Okay, this is editorial stuff, but anyway, I thought this was kind of cool. It's called SGN. Some Good News is the YouTube channel.
Good evening, everybody. Even though it is very clearly the afternoon, and welcome to SGN. John, what is SGN? That's a good question. For years now, I've been wondering, why is there not a news show dedicated entirely to good news? Well, desperately seeking my fix somewhere else, I reached out to all of you this week, asking, nay, begging for some good news.
And boy, did you deliver. After reading those replies and the incredibly heartwarming stories that came with them, I thought, all right, enough is enough, world. Why not us? Why not now? So, ladies and gentlemen, this is your fault, and this is SGN. I'm John Krasinski, and if it isn't clear yet, I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing. And now for some good news. And what a week for good news it was. Because yes, without question,
there you
we
go.
are all going through an
Kind of give you the basic idea. But if you want to see all that, see the rest of it, SGN. It's actually called Some Good News right there. It's the YouTube channel. Nothing wrong with some good news, okay? But they've done Illuminati. Yeah, I know. Well, I know. A lot of these people have. But you take everything as it comes, right? Just because, I'm not saying this guy, but let's say, for example, he's done let's say this John Krasinski done all these Illuminati movies and all this, and he does this Some Good News. And he actually puts out really good news stories. You're not under mind control or being brainwashed if you can accept a good story for a good story as it stands in reality and not have to accept everything else that comes with it. Or, I'm an Illuminati fool and tool now because does that make any sense? Hopefully it does. Some good news. Leftists, let's use C virus to eliminate the family. A commentary published by a far-left publication funded in part by Soros says some good could come from the pandemic. For example, the total elimination of the family. And this falls right in line with, of course, what the so-called elite, the NWO, the Masons, the Illuminati, they've all wanted. The shadow controllers. We deserve better than the family. And the time of Corona is an excellent time to practice abolishing it, wrote radical feminist activist Sophie Lewis on the website Open Democracy. Even when the private nuclear household poses no direct physical or mental threat to one's person, no spouse battering, no child, and no queer bashing, the private family qua mode of social reproduction still frankly sucks, wrote Lewis, the author of Full Surrogacy Now, Feminism Against Family. There you go. You can see that whole article. I don't want to read any more of that. WND.com, leftist. Let's use coronavirus to eliminate the family. New York prisoners say they are repackaging hand sanitizer, not making it from scratch under Cuomo's program. Who can forget Governor Andrew Cuomo's presser weeks ago where he exclaimed that he would be putting New York State prisoners to work making hand sanitizer. The goal was to produce 100,000 gallons of it every week to be distributed for free to schools, government agencies, and other institutions. Well, that doesn't appear to actually be what's happening. Instead, prisoners are apparently taking hand sanitizer. Hold on one second. Taking hand sanitizer from elsewhere and just repackaging it and rebranding it as NYS Clean Sanitizer, according to a new expose from Vice. At the time, Cuomo boasted that the NYS sanitizer would be better than Purell's due to its 75% alcohol content and its floral scent. He also bragged about the economics, that this is also less expensive than anything the government could buy. A gallon bottle is $6.10. The 7-ounce bottle is $1.12 our cost. And then there's very little small size, which is 84 cents. So it's much cheaper for us to make it ourselves than to buy it on the open market. Right. I mean, y'all, we are problem solvers. State of New York, Empire State, progressive capital of the nation, he proudly stated after revealing the NYS Clean branded sanitizer. But a New York State Department of Corrections and Community Supervision source says that the sanitizer itself is being produced at an outside vendor and the prisoners are only bottling it and labeling it. An inmate who said the rollout began on March 7th also said that people are bottling the sanitizer 24 hours a day in 3 8-hour shifts. He also said that there's as many hours as people are willing to take on. There's one guy who worked 116 hours in 1 week and just stays there. They ask people if they want overtime, but a lot of people refuse it. It's not actually overtime, it's just more hours, but you still get paid the same amount. He said the work mainly consists of turning a nozzle and filling gallon-sized bottles. Well, that sounds like fun to do every day for hours on end, huh? He said the work consists of turning a nozzle, in quotes, and filling gallon-sized bottles. But I don't know. I've had to do some monotonous work. I was in the military 8 years, and I was on a boat, for a couple of years, and at a small boat station for 2 years, and always had to clean boats and do this and do that, and days on end. And there's also kind of it depends on what you're like. If you're the type that enjoys escaping into your own mind and your imagination and just thinking. But those are the best times for it. There's an art to it, and I just found it's easiest just to let go of it. Let go, just explore in your mind as you're doing these monotonous tasks day in, day out. And you already know what you got to do physically, and it becomes a thing. You can actually do it, but in your mind, you're all these other great places, and I'm rambling. Anyway, he was lying. New York City Health Department's advice: you are your safest sex partner. Now they're saying that playing with yourself is all the rage in New York City through the pandemic. At least that's what the New York City Health Department hopes. Big government has recommendations. They believe we should stay apart, keeping at least 6 feet of distance between us. They believe only those we're becoming prisoners too. You see that. It's easy to understand. We're prisoners. Some people are in full lockdown. The police are looking for you in your neighborhoods if you're out past curfew. They want you just in your house, a lot of people. They believe only those with essential jobs should be working. In New York City, they believe we should be playing with ourselves to keep the virus at bay. Gross. Ghoulish. Christians arrested for praying outside North Carolina you-know-what clinic. Ruh-roh. Sorry, I got to turn this off. Okay. Christians arrested for praying outside a North Carolina you-know-what clinic deemed essential. Who will be next? So I guess the abortion clinic. I said it. I guess it's been deemed essential. I was hoping there was a video here. Is this it?
Hey guys, we're here in Greensboro right now. We were in Charlotte this morning and got a report that in Green.
I think it's got really bad audio. Let me see.
Police have pushed against people being out here to pray, even though we're, again, doing social distancing. So we just came up here because they ran off the prayer walkers, they ran off the sidewalk counselors, and the abortion center remains open. There's somewhere around 15 to 20 people here for abortion right now. And so we believe it's important, again, for us to operate in our rights. There's an outdoor provision in the county ordinance for us to be doing outdoor activity, whatever that might look like, whatever that might be. And so we're here to stand our ground in what we know is our right to do. And so Isaiah is our ambassador here in this area. Just give the testimony of what you just had with this young man that was here.
Yeah, so after the walk kind of died down, the police left, I pulled in and saw a young man sitting right here, actually on the steps, looking over to the clinic. And he told me that I just asked what he was doing here, if he was here with someone else. And he said, yeah, his girlfriend was in there and she was abortive. And I just began to speak to him and to say, to ask him where he was at, figure out his situation, and then to plead with him and tell him, hey, man, this isn't God's design, this isn't God's plan. That's a life. I asked where he stood on life, and, to a little bit of my surprise, at least he told me he was in complete agreement with me. He said, hey, I'm pro-life too. Hey, yeah, I grew up in the church. Hey, yeah, I agree with you. I don't believe this is right, but it's not really, up to me. And he had a couple other excuses, and I just began to talk to him about how, well, man, this is up to you. You do play a part in this, and God allowed this to happen for me to be here for a reason, and he's calling you to step in and to save a life, like his word says. I mean, this guy was able to quote some scripture to me. I mean, he knew he was definitely raised in the church and knew things like that. And so, I just began to speak to him. It was about an hour-long conversation. I told him that we were here for him. We had help for him. Whatever he needed, that the church was ready to step up and provide for him. Whatever that meant. He told me he's living in his mother's garage right now. And I said, dude, I know for a fact there are people who would let you stay with them. There are places that would be provided for you. There's money that would be provided for you. There's resources and support, real support that would be provided for you for as long and longer than you needed it. And he listened. He was impacted. He said, hey, the conversation ended up, it started him saying, I'm not going to change my mind. It's not really my choice. I can't change my mind. It ended with him saying, I'm going to talk to my girlfriend about this, and we're going to see if this is, something that can be reversed or
push this issue. I know your application, you're going to be charged. Believe at that point, they could be happy to refuse to comply with it.
Again, we're out here operating under CDC recommendations, social distancing. Police are here, and
Lieutenant Knight with the police department. I'm going to tell you now, you need to return to your vehicles.
Sir.
You've got a choice right now to make. All right,
sir.
You can choose to comply with what I'm telling you, or you're going to be charged. All right.
I would like it noted for the record that he absolutely refuses.
We are not debating right now. That debate can be had with our legal staff.
We explicitly says to engage in outdoor activity, provided the individuals comply with social distancing requirements.
Do you understand when I tell you that you're going to be charged and you will no longer be free to leave at that point?
Yes, sir.
Or you're subject to arrest?
Yes, sir.
We do not want that to happen.
We don't need it.
We comply with us. Comply with our. Right now, I'm giving you a command to leave this location.
The Bible
leave this
says
location.
we must obey the rule of God and not of
If you do
man.
not leave this location, you're going to be charged. You understand? Are you going to comply? Are you going to comply with what I'm telling you?
And we're going to continue to stay out here pursuant to the Guilford County ordinance.
You have your ID, your ID, and I want you to sit on the curb. Now,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Are you going to stay or are you going to leave? Okay, sit on the curb. Are you going to stay or are you going to leave? I know y'all came to push this issue. I know y'all came prepared to do it. Guys, I hate it comes to this. Me too. If you don't comply,
You have your ID, sir?
Yes, give me a moment.
No problem.
Guys, don't make us do this.
So there you go. I think you get the gist of it. CBS airs video from ER in Italian hospital while Cuomo makes emotional appeal for ventilators for New York City. I got to do this again. In this video, Sky News shows dramatic footage recorded at an emergency ward in a busy Italian hospital while the narrator discusses the country's dire circumstances. This report originally aired on March 22nd, 322. The second video originally aired on a March 26th CBS News broadcast of CBS This Morning. It's the same footage of the Italian ER we saw in the Sky News video. The footage begins at 1:20 in the video and runs for about 4 seconds. New York Governor Cuomo makes an emotional appeal for additional ventilators. Vice President Mike Pence has promised to deliver 4,000 ventilators. Cuomo has requested 30,000 and asks rhetorically, what am I going to do with 400 ventilators when I need 30,000? You pick the 26,000 people who are going to die because you only sent 400 ventilators. So what do we say? We go to 120. So you can see this.
Here, and
some of this footage here.
We want to show you why officials say the next few weeks are so important. It took 6 gave the state 400 ventilators.
Yeah, look.
To that, he said this. What?
The same one. Same thing. How about that? Check this out. Last fall, Trump received widespread criticism for his decision to withdraw U.S. forces from northern Syria. ABC News tried to pass off dramatic video below from a 2016 Knob Creek, West Point, Kentucky night shoot as footage of Turkey's military bombing of Kurd civilians. This really is just how another example of how gross our media is out here. It's just gross. I'll read that again. ABC News tried to pass off dramatic video from a 2016 Knob Creek, which took place in West Point, Kentucky, night shoot as footage of Turkey's military bombing of Kurd civilians. After being called out by several journalists, ABC issued a correction, bottom of the page. Remember this? They were showing this footage, ABC, and they were saying that this is our military killing civilians. Unbelievable. Customer coughs and spits on a Walmart worker. This is crazy. Check this out. Monsters. There are monsters among us. There you go.
20 feet down, 2.5.
Yeah, check this out.
20 feet, 2.5 down. Take shadow. 4 forward. 4 forward. Drift into the right a little. Down a half. Contact light.
This is Houston. Say again, please. Houston, we've had a main beam plus interval. Roger, main beam interval. Okay, stand by 13. We're looking at it. This is Houston. Say again, please. Houston, we've had a
That's awesome. Quick little doom break there. Here's more of this foolishness.
You up there? You just broke the phone. You up there? Fuck you, don't video.
Little rascals. Those little rascals. Oh, this is a classic. We saw this a few weeks ago. It's a news reporter was doing a Facebook Live for like some news report on the scene somewhere, and accidentally turned on his filters, and the results were hilarity ensued. Well, now it's the priest is doing it. Check this out. Oh yeah, I don't think there's any audio on this one. Awesome. That's a good one. Yes. Yeah. Nice. If that was in real life, I bet more people would probably go to that church. The toilet paper rage continues.
Answer my question, Chris. Answer my question. What's the big one for? What's the big one for? What's the big one for? Who do you think is the big one for?
Just get out! Straight up to what you think. Leave now!
Don't be fair to everyone.
I am being fair by giving you that random.
You're not being fair.
I am.
You're giving us the small ones. What happens to the big ones?
I'm not.
Who are you giving the big ones to?
You know what?
What? You are mad. I'm gonna smack your face.
You know what? I am a good man. You're gonna get out! Get out! Get out!
Hey, you piece of shit.
Get out!
Rough. Rough. A farewell to truckers. Automation will make driving jobs all but obsolete. This is an older story as well from 2017, but it's a part of something bigger I was working on. But I've talked a lot in the past in some of the videos about the post-human existence, how they were have been preparing us for a post-human existence for a long time. And this right here is definitely a key to that. Do this. Put it on the top there. Because they have been all these, crazy stories we've all been sharing and talking about for years about automation taking over and pizza restaurants fully run by robots, and stuff like this. I mean, you've seen it all, and all the insane technology coming out of DARPA, things like this. But to what end, right? To what end? And they've been building it all around us for many years, and now we're starting to perhaps see why. The end game. The Georgia Guidestones, back to culling the population under a certain level, right? Same thing Thanos wanted. Thanos being a type of an antichrist type character in the Avengers movies, wanted the same thing. So this article is on fastcompany.com. called A Farewell to Truckers. Automation will make driving jobs all but obsolete. If you're interested, check that out. It'll be in an upcoming video of mine as well. So a little bit of it will be bits of the article. Here's another one of these interesting conspiracy type claims that are popping around. I found related to the Q stuff. It says SPV and be in a first loss position. What does this mean? In essence, the Treasury, not the Fed, is buying all these securities and backstopping of loans. The Fed is acting as banker and providing financing. The Fed hired BlackRock Inc. to purchase these securities and handle the administration of the SPVs on behalf of the owner, the Treasury. In other words, the federal government is nationalizing large swaths of the financial markets. The Fed is providing the money to do it. BlackRock will be doing the trades. The scheme essentially merges the Fed and Treasury into one organization. So meet your new Fed chairman, Donald J. Trump. So make of that what you will. This is St. Luke's in Denver is a ghost town. One of the nurses told me that this was pretty slow, but they were preparing for it to get busy, and the ER is empty too. So this is one of those from Brandon Bowser. And this is under Film Your Hospital. This is kind of a movement. That's what I wanted to share. It's hashtag Film Your Hospital. You could check that out on Twitter, and you'll find a lot of these. But that's what people are doing. They're going out on location, filming their hospitals, and mostly showing the ones they've been sharing that there's just not much going on. So if that's something you want to check out sometime, check out hashtag Film Your Hospital. Hey, Pastor Rodney Howard Brown arrested for holding church service defying safer at home order. Rodney Howard Brown, I've never heard of this guy. Hey, Chubbs, what are you doing? Do you guys know who this fella is? Is he, I don't know. He looks like one of those Joel Osteen types, if you know what I mean. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm judging a book by its cover. They say he's the leader of Revival International Ministries and the River at Tampa Bay Church in Tampa, Florida. And I don't want to pass false allegations or anything. Again, I really don't know who this person is. So maybe truly good, spirit-led preacher type man. I don't know. You tell me. You tell us. Share your experiences. Hillsborough County Sheriff Chad Chronister said that when he saw images from a crowded Sunday service that the church posted online, he was furious. We received an anonymous tip that Dr. Rodney Howard Brown refused a request to temporarily stop holding large gatherings at his church, he said, and instead he was encouraging his large congregation to meet at his church. Hillsborough County issued a safer at home order effective March 27th. The order mandates non-essential businesses to abide by the CDC's social distancing guidelines that requires individuals to be separated by 6 feet of space. If they are unable to do that, they have to shut down. Howard Brown argued that his church is an essential business and that the order violates his First Amendment rights. Worshippers at Howard Brown's church on Sunday who were recorded on video did not obey the guidelines. Chronister noted that Howard Brown's church has the technological resources to simply resort to online worship temporarily and abide by the order, but the church instead chose to endanger congregants. The River Tampa Bay Church has an advantage over most places of worship, said Chronister, as they have access to technology allowing them to live stream their services over the internet and broadcast television for more than their 4,000 members to watch from their safety from their own homes. Instead, they encouraged people to come out and gather at the church, even provided bus transportation for the services. The pastor's arrest order shows that he was charged with unlawful assembly in violation of public health emergency rules, which are both second-degree misdemeanors punishable by up to 60 days in jail and a maximum fine of $500. Whoa. Okay, this one's really crazy. This is from Hilary Duff, and this is on Instagram stories from Hilary Duff. And she's one of these Disney type kids, she had her own TV show and done some movies. She's a singer as well. But wait till you see this picture. It reminds me of the PIZZA-gate images that started popping up, that people started finding associated with that whole scene, if you know what I mean. And there were some specifics with children being taped down on surfaces, things like this. Well, look at this.
Guys, I got so many pictures printed out today. Luca comes back home tomorrow, so I'm going to have to hide all of these. Guys, I got so many pictures printed out
See if you can spot it first.
Luca comes back home tomorrow, so I'm going to have to hide all of these. But what a successful day of printing and diving super deep.
Okay, we'll try again. See if you can spot it.
Guys, I got so many pictures printed out today. Luca comes back home tomorrow, so I'm going to have to hide all of these. But what a successful day of printing and diving super deep.
Whoa, it's right there at the end. Let's see if I can get there we go. There's a decent shot of it there. Let's see. Yeah, so you can see it right there, kind of upper right. There we go. It's a doll, so don't freak out. It's a doll, but it's anatomically correct, it seems. And it kind of looks like one of her kids. You can see right down here, one of her kids has a red baseball hat on. There's even a picture up here closer to the head of that doll that, for whatever, there's at one point you can see it pretty good, I thought, but it looks like him as well. So I don't know if it's a doll of her child, but like I said, you can see it's an anatomically correct doll, and it's got tape all over it. Like it looks like it's taped down there. You see.
And
there you go. I mean, that's right. That's pretty crazy. I mean, I think that's crazy, creepy. But is it just me, or does that kind of remind you of some of the, not even just the PIZZA stuff, but even SRA stuff way before the PIZZA stuff, satanic ritual abuse images came out from there from many, many years ago. They resemble stuff like this. So I don't know. Again, I'm not one to be casting false accusations on somebody. I don't know what the story is with this. Maybe there is some kind of a story that makes sense in some way. I don't know. I don't think so, but then again, I'm not sure. I can't say for certain. But yeah, right there it is. It's the main first video up. Hilary Duff Instagram stories. There you have it. Billionaire David Geffen incites social media riot after posting photos quarantined, quote unquote, on his $590 million super yacht. And this is what I suspect that a lot of these big time CEOs have been dropping out. This is what I suspect they're probably up to. And then some of them probably really are going into their bunkers, trying to escape. David Geffen, look at this. Shows a picture of his yacht. Look at $590 million. Yeah, $590 million super yacht. So sunset last night, isolated in the Grenadines, avoiding the virus. I'm hoping everybody is staying safe. Oh yeah, I'm sure people ripped him apart for that. I mean, come on, man. A lot of people are really hurting out there. Rent strike idea gaining steam during the C virus crisis. You guys heard about this? It's a whole thing here. St. Louis, with millions of people suddenly out of work and rent due at the first of the month, some tenants are vowing to go on a rent strike until the C virus pandemic subsides. New York, Boston, Los Angeles, San Francisco, and St. Louis are among many cities that have temporarily banned evictions, but advocates for the strike are demanding that rent payments be waived, not delayed, for those in need during the crisis. The rent strike idea has taken root in parts of North America and as far away as London. White sheets are being hung in apartment windows to show solidarity with the movement that is gaining steam on Twitter, Instagram, and other social media sites. Flyers urging people to participate are being posted in several cities, including bus stops in St. Louis, where 27-year-old Kyle Coffrin still has his job at an ice cream factory, but his 3 roommates have suddenly found themselves unemployed. The property manager so far hasn't agreed to a payment plan. For me personally, with everyone losing their jobs and unable to pay, it's really the only thing we can do, Coffrin said. It's just like we the people have to do something. We just can't sit idly or stand idly by while the system takes us for a ride. No, what do you think about that? Rent strike. The rent strike idea. New York City mayor, churches holding services may be permanently closed. Meanwhile, the ABORTION clinics stay open. There you have it. What a great story to end on. We're not surprised. We've talked about that the last few weeks. I've said keep an eye on these bigger so-called liberal cities or hard leftist cities, and that's where we'll see more of this madness taking place, more authoritarianism, more dystopian. I mean, they've got the red light flashing, the siren on the building out there in the Empire State Building, I believe it was, in New York City. It's crazy. There you have it, though, man. That's the last story, but I think we had enough doom breaks to kind of balance it all out, I believe. Just wanted to say thank you all so much for being here, though. Once again, I really appreciate it. Thanks for sticking it out this long. It's went a little bit long tonight, but just thanks again for being here. Thanks, moderators. Another big shout out to Patreon and PayPal supporters out there. Thank you so much. And I always like to end these on a little bit of a prayer. So I'll just say, Heavenly Father, thanks once again for the fact that we have a great place to meet up here. We can all discuss all these things happening in our world around us right now and explore and try to find out the truth and everything. And ultimately, we know that will lead us to you either way. But help us in our walks, help us to lead others. And just thank you, Lord, for all you've done, the protection you provide us in this time. And I love you, and in Jesus' name I pray, amen. All right, guys. Hey, on that note, I want to thank you once again so much for being here. I've got more videos coming out throughout this week, and I'd like to still do another live show here real soon. So be looking for that. And just thanks again. All right. You guys take care, and I'll talk to you next time.